first of all, Jake, I'd like to know the story behind this T-shirt.
The story.
For anyone that can't see this T-shirt, it is an
I have an Expedition 33 shirt. It's got Lune on it. Yeah, I'm more of a Mael person, but
oh really? Okay.
I just thought she looked really cool in the T-shirt. She always looks cool. She's always like doing a cool pose thing with her hands.
Yep.
I gave IGN. So IGN is the only place that has like their merch store is the only fucking place that has Expedition 33 stuff.
Yeah.
What a deal to have signed, because they're the official exclusive distributor for this merch, and I'm guessing it's because like Sandful needed someone and they couldn't find anyone else who agreed, and so IGN are like, yeah, sure, we'll do it, not expecting it would become this thing. But yes, if you want to buy like Expedition 33 merch, you have to buy it through IGN. There's no other choice, which is insane.
Yeah. It's like I gave IGN like a $30 T-shirt. No, it's one of those shirts where I can tell the vibe as soon as I wash it, it's gonna like shrink.
Oh.
Yeah.
But I had to have it because this is just who I am now. I'm just
it's your whole personality.
I haven't had, like I said, I haven't had something that I've become like obsessed with like this in a while. So it's
yeah, but that's the thing. It's like it's a big deal for you to T-shirt something, right? Like it's a very big deal because most of your T-shirts are circa 1980s TV shows. Movies. And like Metal Gear shirts. That's it, really. They're the only two things. Metal Gear, The Mummy, Back to the Future. That's about the only three type of T-shirt. Max Payne.
I have a lot. Max Payne, The Getaway. Like,
oh, you got a Getaway one. I can't remember that one.
Okay.
Okay. Fair enough.
But definitely.
It's the ultimate mark of it's the ultimate mark of respect in your culture to T-shirt something.
Yes.
Your culture.
My culture.
Right.
So I joke. I call it work shirts. Like this is like my work uniform. Like I don't wear these shirts out that often.
He doesn't. When we were in Finland, he was not wearing a single branded shirt.
Can't be disrespectful though. Can't be like rocking up to a Remedy event wearing like a, I don't know, Gears of War shirt.
You could have worn the Max Payne shirt.
Yeah. Well, that's it. Max Payne's okay. That's allowed. You know.
No, it's like going to a concert and wearing the band's, the shirt of the band on it. Like, you don't do that. That's not cool, man.
Is it really not? I don't know. I don't really know etiquette like that. Is that a thing? Is it?
I think it is. Yeah.
I haven't done that since I was like a teenager, I think.
Okay.
When I went to see Maximo Park, I would have like one specific shirt that I would always wear to Maximo Park gigs. But other than that, I don't think I'm going to see Nine Inch Nails. I'm not going to wear my Nine Inch Nails shirt.
Really?
No.
Okay.
No, you
I've got to goth up more for that.
Yeah. Goth up.
That's
what Mark Wahlberg says. He says, "Stay gothed up."
I did have a shirt. I bought a shirt when we went to see them a couple of years ago, and it's the Pretty Hate machine. It's like Trent looking up, and it's a Pretty Hate machine over his chest. And my friend bought one for her husband, and she said, "Look, I bought you a shirt with a pretty lady on it." And he was like, "That's Trent Reznor." I guess he was in his androgynous phase now, but that's why we always call him the pretty lady.
I have a question for you, Ralph. How do you feel about the announcement of the massive video game movie project? I'm talking about the Clash of Clans movie. That's a big deal for you.
Well, I was as a lifelong Clash of Clans player who has had it installed on his device a total of like once ever on some phone that I lost probably. I couldn't be more excited for this new intellectual property to finally make it to the bigger screen. I can't wait.
Take the whole family and be like, at one point, this was my life.
I mean, like, I have no, okay, but that's fine. Okay, Clash of Clans actually makes a lot of sense as an adaptation because it's a massive mobile game. Everyone knows what it is. Everyone's played it for like, I don't know, 5 minutes or like, 5 years, whatever. The adaptation news that got me this week was Riders Republic is getting a movie.
Yeah, that's wild. What?
Lucy's face then was so good. It was literally this.
Yeah.
Also, like credit.
That was me starting to think, do I care? No, I don't.
Definitely not.
I like that game, but even so,
I like that game.
Even
it's
so,
a great game.
What?
Yeah.
What?
I mean, you're talking to the person who saw Need for Speed in the cinemas, so.
Hey, I mean, Gran Turismo, the movie was really good.
The Need for
So
Speed one though
there's
was
that.
not though, right? As I recall.
Yeah, Need for Speed one was with Aaron Paul. It was not.
That was
good.
Aaron Paul. Yeah, that's right.
That's right.
And we're recording this on the Thursday, and they've just announced that Alex Garland is doing the Elden Ring movie. I heard that a couple weeks ago, but then it kind of got.
We all didn't take it seriously.
Yeah, no
it
one
was
took
like
it seriously.
Oh, yeah,
one random like news account posted it, and everyone was like, "Yeah, we're gonna trust that."
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
not.
like the film studio that cried.
So okay, Alex Garland. What's Alex Garland done? So like he's obviously done Civil War, which I watched and I thought was like terrible. So what else has he done?
Alex Garland is Ex Machina. That's like one of the best movies.
Ex Machina,
ever.
Annihilation.
Yeah, Annihilation. Okay, yeah, sure. 28.
Annihilation's
okay.
incredible.
28 Days
Yeah.
Later. Is that him? Was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thingy,
all right. Well,
the
unfortunately, he
game
has some chops. It's just that-
Enslaved.
He did Sunshine. Sunshine was like one of the
Sunshine rocked.
most incredible. Like that was like my teenager movie, man. That was like the coolest thing.
All right. Well, because I was like, do I want the guy who made Civil War to make an Elden Ring movie? Definitely not. Do I want the guy who made all
the
those
other
other
things.
cool movies to make it? I'm like, yeah, probably. I guess. I don't know.
He was
I guess-
going to do the Halo movie for a while.
Yeah, I can see that.
I think
Makes sense.
everybody was going to do the Halo movie for a
So
while.
true.
I was going to do the Halo
absolutely.
movie for a while.
Absolutely agree.
What do you think the comedy popcorn bucket for Elden Ring is going to be?
Oh, it's going to be
Ooh.
the pot guy. What's his name? Sir
Has
Pot.
to be.
Alexander!
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, you nailed it. Oh,
Mm.
damn. I
And then
really
at the
thought
end
we
of the
could...
movie, everyone is just going to smash it on the ground, and it's going to be really sad. And
Or
that's
it's
how
going to be like
and then
the
it's going to
helmets.
have bodies inside.
It's going to be the Raya Lucaria, like the mage helmet, like
Yeah,
where they have
it
all
will-
the faces.
with the faces on it.
Or
For sure.
the,
That's right. I played Elden Ring.
Yeah, you did. What about
Yeah.
the
No, I don't.
the mask that the prisoner wears at the beginning? The full.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's
Full
pretty cool.
mask.
Do you think they're going to do like a light or like a low key storytelling type of thing here? Like, are they going to keep with how From kind of tells stories? That's what I
How could you-
wonder.
Wait,
doesn't
so you
work
have
as a
to
movie, though.
you have to go in to see the movie and then you go into the next screening and it's a Vati explainer.
Vati
Yeah,
video
yeah,
explaining
yeah.
it. That'd be great. I mean, that's a really interesting question there. Like, how do you convert that? I don't know. I mean, yeah. I really hope they try and do something interesting with it, though. Like, I hope it
Well,
isn't
it's
just.
A24, so
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I hope it isn't just some like, where we're telling a fantasy story in a dark world. Whoa, okay, cool. All right. I don't know. Like the FromSoft storytelling. If you could find a way to make that work as a film, that would be really interesting. It might not necessarily be like entertaining per se, but it could be really thought provoking and cool and experimental. And I don't know. Like it would be kind of sick if half the people who watched this movie fucking hated it because they thought it was boring, and half the people who watched it thought it was the best thing ever made because they've never seen anything like it. Like that would be
It's
a
gonna
good
be about
place
the
for
horse.
this to land.
it's going to be about the
Alright.
horse, and it's going to be like since it's an A24 movie, it's going to be about like the horse's trauma and how it how it like relates to the world or something.
You know
Mhm.
what
But
I can't wait for? Fucking patches on the big screen.
Oh, finally.
That's going to be they would
Who do we
have
cast
to.
as Patches?
Who
Who played Loki? What's his name? Tom Hiddleston or
Tom
whatever?
Hiddleston.
I can see
Willem,
that.
Willem Dafoe.
Ooh, as Patches.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I imagine.
Also
Ooh.
Gideon Ofnir.
Is there like a younger weird guy? We need like a
Bill Skarsgård.
he would do
Oh.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, that would be exceptionally good.
Patches showing up for people on screen in a movie theater would be like my version of like when Spider-Man comes through a fucking portal and like fights Iron Man or something. You're like,
Yeah.
oh my god, Patches is here. People do backflips in the theater.
You know who it's going to end up being, though? It's going to be Jared Leto. Like, it's definitely Patches.
Yeah, it will.
Jared Leto is
Yeah.
definitely getting that role. It honestly feels made for him in a weird way because
Yeah.
he's so hateable, and Patches is meant to be hate. Like, it actually kind of works, unfortunately. It really does.
Who's gonna be the loathsome dung eater? That's a
Ooh.
great role for a British character actor. Like
You know that guy that's in Chernobyl as the miner and is in Andor as the like upstart. You guys haven't seen Andor.
is he the guy?
Yeah,
which
yeah.
guy from Chernobyl?
He was the miner that does all the talking. That like he just like
is he the one who gets like
his dick
naked
out.
when they have to? Yeah.
Well, they all
so
get-
he was in EastEnders years ago, and he played a character called Trevor. I know exactly who you mean.
Okay,
Yes,
I actually think he would be great as the Loathsome Duck. He's got the body type for it, right? He's got the build, and
He's got the
he's got
build.
some serious acting chops. He's a fucking good actor, so I could see it.
I'm putting myself forward for the role of the guy with the boiled prawn shack. because I think he's just great.
Oh, that guy. Why do you like him so much?
No, I just don't like him. It's just like he's a character. You
Okay,
know?
okay, yeah, I get that.
I think he's the one who says, I don't know, he just has
Tilda Swinton needs to be in it for some reason.
Renala.
Yeah, definitely.
Renala.
Yeah.
There we go. That's tick.
Lots of spooky people. Every like spooky actor and actress, just get them in the movie. Like,
you know
absolutely.
What? I rewatched The Sixth Sense last weekend, and I completely forgot that Toni Collette was in it.
And she was so good.
And she was really good in it.
She was fantastic. She's a proper
she
actor.
Should be in this.
She knows what she's doing.
That's good. That's a good call. I like that. I think A24 too, like, because A24's biggest movie was technically Civil War in terms of production cost.
Sure.
Like they went big on it. But it still felt small. And I actually think that like people would think Elden Ring needs to be like this big, insane, like $1 million movie. I do think that there is a way that like creativity, like wise, I think that it could be small.
I don't agree with that.
Could no, you imagine like the fire giant.
Yeah,
I mean, like
Harryhausen. Something about how they do it. Like, there's a way I feel like they can get creative where it can feel big, but because of like these style of movies, it can feel. I don't have like the language because I'm not a movie guy.
No,
but
I think it's the opposite because I think the small feel comes from like focus on characters and intimacy, and I think that's kind of the opposite of what I'd want from this. I'd kind of want the world to be. Like try to figure out the way to make the world the main character, but not in a like Avatar kind of sense, like Pandora, like in a different, cooler sense.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it was really focused on like the personal journey of one or two people with like a big character arc or whatever. I'd be like, nah, I'm not really up for that.
Yeah, I mean, even the story of the Tarnished is like so secondary to anything in that game. Like I never even considered my Tarnished really a character. It's just a vessel for me to explore this world and see everything. They need to keep the guy who does the intro who goes, "Oh, rise, ye Tarnished." Like I need that guy. Maybe he can come back and recontextualize and do the.
This could be the start of the FromSoft cinematic universe, right? We get Elden Ring, we get Bloodborne, we get Dark Souls, and then
enough of this shit.
Then they go full
Armored Core.
Bloodborne would be sick.
Okay, Bloodborne and Sekiro, I think, would lend themselves very well because
the thing with an Elden Ring movie too, I'm curious, is like there's so much stuff and there's so much cool shit, enemies, bosses, different types of environments. Like, where do you even start? Like, where do you pick and choose? Like, where do you pick and choose like what is in the movie? Because there's so much stuff throughout the game, even just like off to the side in a secret corner that is like iconic and incredibly designed. That's overwhelming to even.
Would be.
I don't envy them. Your ass beat by the Scion guy, and then you die, and then you come back, and
it's gonna be like that. It's gonna be like the Tom Cruise, Emily Blunt, live die repeat. Yeah, that'd be cool. Do it like that. That'd be good.
Man, wait. Oh god, imagine if this gets memed like Minecraft.
Oh,
what's the chicken jockey moment of the Elden Ring movie?
No. That would be kind of I don't know. FromSoft fans doing that in theaters, I don't know, man, it could get dangerous.
Elden Ring's mainstream though. A lot of people love Elden Ring.
Yeah.
So who knows? There's a lot of brain rot towards Elden Ring. There has to be.
Yep. For sure.
We'll see. Good luck.
Yeah. Well, welcome to Friends for Second, everyone. It's a podcast where we do actually talk about video games. Hey, we did it.
That's right. Adaptations though, but close enough.
This week, though, so you might have seen a bunch of previews and such from FBC Firebreak, the new game from Remedy. Jake and I actually went out there to play, so you'll get our impressions and our interview with the team. Ralph sadly couldn't make it, but he did join us for the chat while we were out at the studio, which was very nice.
Yep.
And then otherwise, it's very.
It was a while ago. When was that, by the way? Just so everyone knows when it was recorded. It was like 3 weeks now.
3 weeks ago.
3 weeks.
Yeah, because I just come back from Tokyo, and you guys were then over there. So 3 weeks. So it was a while ago. So if we say anything crazy about, I don't know. Some outdated thing like Randy Pitchford, I love that guy. He never says anything bad, like if we say something like that, then you'll know that it's actually it was because we recorded a while ago, right?
Do we dive into that for a second? Because
you know what, I keep I keep the screen grab. I'm sure I've said this before. I always keep the screen grab of
Yes.
Randy Pitchford at Game Informer. Why you guys would fuck me on this is beyond me.
I say
Thanks
it
a
all
lot.
the time, constantly. It's evergreen.
He is a legendary presence in this business. If anyone missed it, by the way, the TLDR is that like someone was basically saying to him on Twitter, like, "Oh,
For
don't
people who
charge
don't
$80
know who he
for
is,
this."
too.
Oh, Randy Pitchford's
he's the
boss.
Borderlands guy.
Yeah, the Borderlands. He's the boss of Gearbox, and he's the Borderlands guy and whatever, and he's a real character. And someone's like, "Oh, don't charge $80 for this. You better not." And then Randy's like, "Well, first of all, it's not my call. Secondly, if you're a real fan, you'll make it happen, right?" And then he gave some story about like how he bought a video game when he was working like part-time at an ice cream parlor. It's like, cool, man. So you could buy a video game when you were probably living with your folks, having all your expenses paid for, and you could save up your precious ice cream dollars to buy a video game. Cool story, bro. But it definitely lit a fire in terms of discourse because it's that $80 thing, which everyone is very sort of nervous about and upset about right now. And it was a very flippant, offhand remark that was just very out of touch because, like, of course, people who are cash strapped are still fans of Borderlands if they can't afford to buy it. Like, come on, man. Like, what are you doing?
I just kind of want to send out, that meme where it's a picture of Idris Elba and he's like sat back and he's like this, and it's learn to sit back and observe. Not everything needs a reaction.
Absolutely. That's like my core mantra. Yeah.
He should have that stapled onto every wall he's able to view in his life.
Instead of don't forget you're here forever, it's that endless Idris Elba's.
But like,
what irked me, like, sorry, go ahead.
No, you go.
I was just going to say what irked me with that is like, I guess I don't know what it's like to be like a hardcore Borderlands fan. Like if Metal Gear Solid 6 came out tomorrow, I would probably be the gremlin that bought it for $90 because I'm a freak.
Sure.
But I just feel like when you're the head of a game company, that kind of phrase irked me because it was like, well, don't take like fandom for granted. Don't just like kind of, that to me was just very much like, well, you're gonna. And I don't think that feels good. I don't think that sounds good.
I totally agree. And I think it's about because like obviously we like rag on Randy a lot and whatever else, but I would say that it seems looking from the outside in that he's actually a pretty good boss. Because like I think if he wasn't, I think all of his staff would be like kind of leaking against him all the time and like telling stories about how he's an asshole and whatever. And obviously there's been some drama about Randy. He's had some falling outs with people, whatever else. But like the overall sense is that like he seems to do a pretty good job of like
the
leading
games
his
come
people.
Out pretty all right.
These games come out pretty all right, and they're not like they're like live service adjacent without taking the piss and stuffing in all the bullshit. You could really think about if you really wanted to go to town with Borderlands and make it a fucking piece of shit, monetized out the ass kind of product. It's the perfect game to do that.
Absolutely.
You contrast Bungie's treatment of their product as a live service looter shooter with the way Borderlands have handled it. Very, very different approach, right? And surely some of that has to do with like Randy and, like him choosing to do business in a certain way. So full credit to that. Like I really do think that at the same time, dude, just don't be on social media. Just let everybody else handle that. Like it's okay. It's fine. Because I legitimately do feel bad for the Gearbox employees who need to like clean up this mess, or like the poor PR people who are just like out there posting exciting things about the game. And every response now is going to be just like angry responses, being like, fuck you, man. It's like it's not even their fault, Yeah. So, yeah.
And I get the sentiment. Like when I was a young boy, I also worked very hard to like earn money and buy a video game.
Absolutely.
But I sold all my shit. I had like comic book collections, and then I just sold them to get a PlayStation, like an idiot. What's wrong with me?
I worked at McDonald's. So
yeah, I did too.
All my money went into that and went into video games where it could.
Did that affect your health massively as a kid? Because like you were able to just get a bunch of free food. It made my acne worse, like my teenager acne.
Definitely. Just being able to like open that nugget drawer and just be like,
anytime you want. Yeah,
anytime you want, man. It was so good, and no one could see, no one could do anything about it. Like it was so good.
Did you have a drive-through? Did you work the drive-through?
No, we didn't do it. We didn't have drive-through.
So we had a drive-through.
We had S tier. Our thing was because we had no toilet either, right? So because we were just like in a shopping center. Yeah. So that was fantastic because we didn't have to do any toilet cleaning. We're a little store, and it was great, man. Fantastic. But yeah, very bad
I
for
liked
health.
working the drive-through because you'd have the window open and you'd be kind of like in the back corner of the place, and like in the winter it's like cold, it's like cold and bitter, and you're working the drive-through with the money and stuff. And if you just go over and you take some nuggets and you have like some warm nuggets with you, just nibbling in between taking people's orders with the headset, it's just a good feeling. Just a good cozy terrible feeling.
We obviously you didn't work fast food, did you, Luce?
No, I never worked any food.
You worked other jobs though. We've heard about your jobs that you've worked.
You've been
Lucy
on a
Law.
journey.
Oh my goodness, a cleaner for a tennis club.
That's right.
I worked in a lot of legal places.
Yeah.
That's freelance.
But the McDonald's rite of passage, I think it's healthy, man. It's a good place to start. I was like 15 years old, man.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really know how to talk to girls at that point because I went to an all-boys school and I had 4 brothers. So, it was a whole I know, right? It was like a lot of learning going on there as well. Learning how to talk to customers, all that sort of shit. And my next job after that was actually, selling video games. So
damn, all right. Yeah.
And that was
I got rejected by Granger Games, which was the
is that a retailer?
A retailer. They came from the northeast of England, and I went and applied when I was at a university, but I got ghosted. Sadly.
Bummer.
I was friends with a GameStop manager just so he would give me the posters once they took them down.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's sick.
So it was pretty cool.
that was
was
nice.
huge.
Yeah.
I was
was a lot of
using it and
those.
that was bad.
Yep,
But-
yep.
You weren't
I
really
wouldn't do
his
that now.
friend. No.
No, I reckon you would have been friends with the GameStop guy. I reckon I believe it, to be honest with you, because there were people that come in all the time when I was working there, and they try to be friends with you, and you're like, yeah, all right, man, I got to go in the back and sort some stock. I'll see you later, man. But then there were some other dudes that came in. You're like, you know what? You're all right.
You're
you're good to
pretty
talk
chill.
to. What's going on? I'll give you a discount, man. Of course. Just say your price matching. It's all good. It's all good. Don't worry about it. I got you.
Oh,
Those
Yeah,
are nice.
you remember the retail
Yeah.
days. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Remember?
damn.
Yep.
Oh, I missed out. So anyway, so that was the Randy Pitchford guiding
Thanks, Randy.
that we went on.
That's
Boy.
his
In
story of
conclusion,
working in an
don't
ice cream
tweet.
parlor inspired
Yeah.
us to recount our own youths where we couldn't afford video games too. But we've also learned that not to say the things that Randy says. I think we've learned that lesson too.
You don't have to tweet sometimes.
Don't
it's okay to just
Don't
tweet,
tweet.
man.
You could just
You
not
just
tweet,
don't-
not post.
Yeah, it's like when you go to AMC theaters and it's like, don't talk, don't post.
Yeah.
That's it.
I don't
Just
think the
post.
phone thing, by the way, like everyone complains about people on their phones in theaters in America. Is that
Yeah.
true?
Oh, it's fucking
Oh,
dreadful.
it's bad. Yeah.
Okay,
I
because it's
hate
not
it.
like that in Australia, right?
Yeah, because you guys are better.
Yeah, I think we're more civilized here as people because when you go to a movie theater, no one has their phone out. Not that I can recall anyway. Like I
Well,
just
that's the thing, because over here you're also paying $20 at least.
same
Yeah.
here though. Like
And
it's
so-
expensive.
But it's like, why do you need big screen and
But like people are as addicted to their phone everywhere.
Yeah.
It's not just
Mm.
America. So I don't know what. I don't know.
I don't know, man. This is etiquette
Better-
shit.
shaming over there.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I really don't know.
It's Clash of Clans just hits different over here. That's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. You got to stay on it, man. You
They
gotta
put it in the water.
No, when we went to see, was it Sinners? There was a guy in the. We were right at the back. There was a guy in the front row, and his screen was so bright, I could tell that he was on Snapchat the whole time. And I
Just
was
snapping the movie frame by frame.
like, I almost fucking snapped at him. I'll tell you that for free.
I throw
Ooh.
popcorn at
didn't.
people.
I didn't.
I don't give a shit.
Do you
Like
really?
I'll just take one and I'll go bink like that.
Did you
I'll
see
give a
this
shit.
all this
Really good
discourse
aim.
recently about Tom Cruise eating popcorn?
Oh,
Yeah,
he eats
'cause
it like
what
an
he-
insane, not normal
no,
guy.
he said to someone who works at the theater where they were doing one of the premieres, he
Yeah.
was like, he chastised him. He went, "You finish your popcorn before the movie."
No, he wasn't.
That was
he was
good. That was
impressed.
nice.
He
Oh,
wasn't.
he was.
wasn't.
Oh,
He was like,
I
he
thought he
was
was
just like, "Ha."
chastising him.
No, he's like, all right, you got a popcorn
Oh.
game. Because Tom Cruise says
He
he,
was
eats
like,
2
man.
buckets of popcorn in a movie. I'm like, no, you don't, man.
He's
You're
so
like
extra,
watching,
like,
you were
relax.
watching every calorie that you are putting into your body. And like
Yeah.
there was this clip of him eating the popcorn and he's like
I
kind of
mean-
throwing it into his mouth some weird way and like missing
It's the
sometimes
couch
and it
jumping
falls-
all over again to me. I'm like getting flashbacks. I'm like, people started to think he was a normal man, but like you get these reminders that he is an insane freak.
He
Like-
absolutely is.
Like people love him now, but he's still weird.
yeah.
God bless him.
Yeah. Yeah, well,
I love
not
Mission
God
Impossible.
per se, but whatever it is that he worships. You know?
Xenu? Is it Xenu?
Thetans?
No.
Who knows, man? I don't
Yeah.
know. It's hard to.
We don't want
The
that. on our
documentaries
case.
don't really cover that part of it in too much detail.
That's the lore. That's the good stuff.
Yeah. What were we talking about? Randy Pitchford.
No, let's not talk about him anymore.
No,
let's not.
I think we do briefly need to touch base on the Bungie marathon stuff.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
I mean, like I think obviously most of the people who watch this podcast are going to be across it in general. But Bungie got caught stealing someone's art, an artist named Anti-Real, who goes by Anti-Real, and basically they acknowledged it, they admitted it. They said that a while back in pre-production, an artist sort of checked these assets in, and then they were brought into the game without crediting the person. And so they didn't try and dodge it. They took responsibility for it. Some people say that they're like lying about, it being a former employee and whatever else. And it's like, well, we don't know that they're lying. So I don't know. We can't really say that. And a lot of people are saying that, Bungie knew that it was stolen and they tried to use it anyway. I think that's also quite unfair. I think because people say like, oh, the artist, the team were following this artist on Twitter. So obviously they knew that it was stolen or whatever else. And it's like, well, those senior people probably just really like her art. And then they kind of checked it in. People beneath them would have checked this in. I can't imagine they were like reviewing every single piece of art in detail. And do you know what I mean? Like,
well,
I can see how there's a process.
Guy, like a big enthusiast of that style of art.
Absolutely. He is for sure.
Right.
And he's got his own portfolio of work where he's done that. But I'm sure that my point is this. Do we really think that Bungie's like, yeah, steal that, put that in. Yeah, it's okay. No one will notice. Like, I don't think
like that's systemically, no.
No. But obviously someone did something wrong. The people at the top didn't notice. And so, their carelessness, I think, is the explanation for this, rather than like, Joseph Cross or whatever being this, person that's deliberately trying to steal art. Having said that, of course, they need to, be held to account for this, and they need to,
change their whole process, like from a management and just like how they process art, how they get art in.
Totally.
From the top out to the bottom. Yeah.
And I guess also the reality of this as well is that they've done this 3 times in the past in the last few years. Yeah. So it really shows that like there's a very deep systemic issue there that is a bummer for them. So yeah, but I mean, it is obviously really disappointing for Bungie, because it's like, it really just kind of killed the hype for Marathon dead, which is already in a very bad spot. But now there's just like a lot of
the Twitch chat was. I mean, fair play to them for like getting on it immediately. That guy looked.
Man, I don't think that stream shouldn't have gone ahead. They probably should have.
But like, I mean, fair play for at least, I guess, doing something. But like the chat.
Yes.
It was
bad.
Plagiarism will make me God or whatever. That's the meme. Yeah, I saw that.
I mean, I feel bad for, people, like obviously Bungie's executives, like clearly these people have not run a good outfit for a very long time, right? Yeah. That's not at all a secret. I genuinely do feel bad for the people who are working on Marathon though, because they're just trying to like make a good game and keep their jobs, you know what I mean? And it's very hard to do that right now because there's just nothing good happening with Marathon. Like it's just
it's a deserved black eye for something that really did not, like it could have been avoided.
Absolutely.
And the game really didn't need that.
For sure.
At all.
I don't want to, I would hate to see a situation where, another couple of hundred Bungie developers lose their jobs. You know what I mean? Like that's not ideal. But I think the reality is that like, Marathon's just not hitting right now in terms of, it has been revealed. We were there at the studio, we played it ourselves. We were among the first to play it. And, we were kind of like, it's enjoyable on some level, but we were like, kind of felt it was missing that hook thing that really.
Yeah, missing the.
Exactly. And I think the alpha testing kind of really, alpha testers said the same sort of thing. Then Arc Raiders came along. You guys didn't play Arc Raiders, by the way, did you?
No, but I follow it closely because I want to play it.
I mean, I've heard you talk about it.
Yeah, look, it's honestly, it's fantastic. It really is. And there could not be a more stark contrast between the two products in terms of like readiness. So, yeah, I mean, that really sort of took some wind out of the sails. And then there's this now where it's like, and so Paul Tassi of Forbes is reporting that, there's talks about delays, that they're changing up their marketing plans. Morale is bad. It's a bummer. It's a bummer.
Yeah.
Because obviously, as I said, Bungie's management have really just mismanaged that place tremendously over the last few years. I think about the wasted potential of Destiny. And where it could be now versus where it is. Obviously, all those layoffs. And then you think about, well, Marathon really needs to sort of go big because Bungie needs that. It just doesn't seem that that's going to happen. I can't imagine a world where Bungie releases in September and then just goes gangbusters and is like, hey, off we go. Let's just, I
don't feel it in my bones now.
No, it just seems like too big of an ask. And it's obviously, they can't have another Concord.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? It's just...
I think it would find enough interest and enough of that groundswell Bungie fandom to limp it along, and maybe they keep reworking it and eventually it becomes something. But I felt that way before all this. Now, I don't know. It's an even
tougher sell. How much do... I mean, this is the thing. One thing that we kind of touch on sometimes. Was that an earthquake?
That happens, right?
Yeah. Maybe. One thing that we touch on is that, obviously we're following gaming news all the time. It is saturated into everything that we do, basically. Mm-hmm. And so, do you think your regular Destiny player or your regular, on gamer who doesn't really follow stuff is going to care? And probably, if they don't know it's happening, they're not going to dig into it. And they just see, new game from the people that made Destiny. I'll give it a go.
Sure. I actually think about that question a lot in terms of how much does what we talk about really matter in the big scheme of things?
Yeah.
And I think in some contexts it matters not the slightest. For example, mobile games. No one gives a shit about what we think about mobile games because the mobile market's its own giant behemoth thing. It's completely separate from what we do and how, having said that, I do think that the kind of stuff we talk about does filter out to a layer of consumer. And then that layer kind of filters out to the next layer and what have you. For the stuff that we're covering, right? I do think that it has kind of this ripple effect. And obviously the impact of it becomes, is less the further out you go. But I do think it matters, I think it is. I think a game like this needs a real groundswell of positive sentiment. And that sentiment can come from... It needs a community. That sentiment can come from a lot of different places. Don't get me wrong. It's not just content creators and journalists and whatever else. But what I'm saying is that, people talking about a game does matter. Word of mouth matters, and it has a ripple effect. And I think Bungie can't afford to lose any possible, growth vectors in this little thing, right? They can't afford to lose... all of the people who are talking about video games, no one that I know is excited about Marathon at this point. There's no one who's yeah, man, let's fucking go. You know what I mean? And that's a lot to overcome because there's that word of mouth battle, it seems. It just becomes that much harder when you lose that whole segment, You
need that Maslow's hierarchy of gamers.
That's right.
The groundswell.
Oh, yeah, that'll be very interesting to chart that pyramid. But I just think it looks pretty rough. I mean, people talk about delays. Yeah. I wonder where Bungie go. Because I'll tell you this. I'll tell you, one time I met with the game director of a live service game, and I won't say which, but this person said to me, at some point, when you're making these sorts of games, you just got to get them out because after that, that's when... Not fix it later. That's not the point they were making. The point they were making was you actually can't, you get so much from your community when it's out there and you get so much feedback. And so then you can really start the work of making it exactly what they want it to be,
Right.
Now, that works in a free-to-play context because the game is free and the cost of entry is zero. And it's cool. If you want to do that and put that out in the hands of consumers, then you can take that approach. You can let that build happen because you're not asking your consumers to invest any money, just their time. And that's their choice, obviously, right? However, I don't think you can take that same approach when you're charging an upfront fee. I don't think those same rules apply. And, Marathon is obviously charging an upfront fee. They're charging, we're going to guess $40. And so
Still
I
haven't confirmed.
They still haven't confirmed that. No. And then from that perspective, I don't know. I don't know where that goes. And it's kind of like, delay, sure, but like, is there? Okay, this is a pretty big question, but like, is there a reality where Marathon gets cancelled? I'm not saying it will, by the way, and it's a huge question that's extraordinarily unlikely. But is there some kind of scenario where Bungie turns around and goes, actually, it's not really worked out for us, and we're doing something else now? Do you think that's possible, or are they in too deep?
Do you think they would be funded to do something else?
I think
because hang on, look at the broader Sony landscape right now. Is that if Marathon gets cancelled or delayed?
Yeah.
Fair Games just lost the head of the studio. That's, according to Schreier, moving into 2026. Another extraction shooter that they were apparently going to be putting out in the same quarter, or at least the same half of the year.
Yeah, I think that was more of like a payday kind of game for the vibe of it, like that kind of heisty sort of thing.
Yeah, like Robin Hood type thing.
They canceled the only one I wanted to play, which was the Last of Us one.
No, you would have played that Spider-Man live service game. Come on now.
Oh yeah, definitely. Don't get it twisted.
You would have played that for sure.
You kidding me? Definitely, yeah.
You've got Concord in the rear view window. Do you think Sony would? I don't know.
But this is the thing, right? Because live service games are not actually about what you spend at the front. They're about what you spend after that, Because there's the marketing cost, which is gigantic, right? To get it pumping. And then there's the ongoing development cost where you need to, put your entire studio on that thing, burning money every month and whatever else. And it's kind of like Sony obviously looked at Concord and they thought, okay, it's not going to happen. Now, I'm not suggesting that Marathon's anywhere the same level as Concord. I still come back to what I said earlier. I think Marathon is fun. I think it's got some cool, foundations that I think can be built on. I'm just sort of imagining this impossible scenario where maybe Sony goes, you know what? Actually, what if we took the 300 people that are working on Marathon and actually put them to work on Destiny instead?
That's crazy.
Another Destiny or like Destiny 3?
Maybe. I mean, look, Destiny 3 is that kind of thing where people get annoyed when you talk about it because they're like, it's never going to happen. But it's like, well, it could happen if they wanted it to. It would just take a few years to build, but they could do it. But if you just really recommitted yourself to Destiny and like its content offering and like really doubled down on that, I don't know, man. That for me personally, I would really, regardless of whether or not Marathon comes out, I would love to see that the Destiny team bolstered, and I would love to see them recommit to those. Yeah, I would. I fucking would. Absolutely. I would love to see them recommit to those the same content that we used to get in the past, and say like, no, man, don't worry. Like it's going to be better than it was in the future. I would be into that, but I think it's obviously very unlikely.
Yeah, I don't know. It just.
Yeah, I don't want to see projects bailed on. I mean, I feel like they've been at this for so long, and like, in too deep money wise. Yeah. But like the bigger thing that because we talked about this a little bit before the show, but the bigger thing is like also like, because I can't speak to this, but like, what's it like to work on something for so long, and with the idea that eventually it's going to come out and people get to see it and enjoy it, and you don't have that. You have that like taken away from you. That's. Yeah, I can't imagine how that feels.
I could cope with that.
Yeah, a lot of game dev talks about that. They work on projects for many years and then they're not allowed to see it, and they're not even allowed to talk about their involvement sometimes because it's all under NDA. The projects that were never even revealed, and the only time you ever hear about it is when they have like some little image on their art station that they accidentally upload or some shit, and then you're like, whoa, that was from that game that never came out.
A LinkedIn post that someone scoured and found.
Exactly, and so that would be incredibly demoralizing to do that for sure. I can imagine that would really suck. So, and to be super clear, that's absolutely not what I want. Like, I don't want Marathon cancelled. I want it to come out. I want it to be successful. I actually do, for a variety of reasons. But it's just a very, very tough time for Bungie. It's a very tough time for Marathon. It is also a rough time for Destiny, like in terms of their content offering that they have laid out there is not super exciting.
When was the last time you played?
Final Shape. Yeah. I mean, it was the layoffs that really like did it for me. And I was like, because again, what we talked about back then was that, the promise of those games is the promise of the future. It's like you continue to invest in it because the studio is investing in it. And I don't know, it just, for me, maybe this is unfair, maybe it's unfair. But I just felt like Bungie as a studio wasn't as committed to the future of Destiny as I would have liked them to have been. Mm-hmm. Certainly Bungie's, I would put it this way, like Bungie's management really tied the hands of the development team and made it impossible for them to have the kind of vision and throughput that Destiny fans would have really loved to see. And it just felt like the right moment to step off then, because it really did feel like it's like Destiny's best days are behind it. Like I spent 10 years playing it. It was incredible. I loved it. But it really did feel like, okay, cool. We've seen the best parts of it now. It's time to move on. And I really, again, I still like holding out this hope that, Bungie turn around and be like, well, actually, no, the best days are ahead. And we've tooled up the team. We've got this big ambition. We're doing this. No, we're doing a bigger expansion than Final Shape. Fuck that, man. We're going to show you, I would come back if I felt that kind of commitment to the future of Destiny. That's the truth. But I don't feel that. I agree, but I don't feel that commitment to the future of Destiny, so that's why I haven't chosen to come back.
And that's the thing. I do also understand the feeling of working on this. Hey, we worked on this thing for however many years, over a decade. We want to do something new.
Yeah, of course.
I also understand that viewpoint, but the other things just got to work.
Yeah, exactly.
In a very risk-averse world,
Yeah. For
God,
sure, for sure.
Well. Anything else?
That's all I got on the Bungie stuff.
Yeah. Well, this seems like a good time to move on because Jake and I went to Finland.
Yeah.
We had a nice little trip. Sorry, Ralph. We did miss you. We promise.
Sure.
But we
I'll
got
bet.
to go.
We went on a Ferris wheel. It was cool.
We did get to go to. We were there on a public holiday, and so everyone was just out wearing little hats. And we did go on a Ferris wheel. And they bundled in like a thing of champagne, so we had a nice little champagne moment on the Ferris wheel.
Helsinki's cool.
Helsinki was lovely.
Yeah.
A lot of Moomins.
I've learned to enjoy Moomin. I appreciate Moomin now.
Yeah, I bought
Moomin
one of those.
Is the Muzzy of Finland and Japan.
I bought one of those like weird little guys, and he's on my fridge right now. But anyway, we went to go and see and play FBC Firebreak. We interviewed the game director, Mike, and the lead designer, Anssi, and you can watch that right now after a quick message from our sponsor. It's summer. I'm sweaty. I'm going outside more. I'm wearing my sunscreen every day, but you know what else I have when I'm walking around outside? I got my pair of Raycons.
That's right. We got a pair right here, a fresh pair. These are the easy to use, affordable wireless earbuds that are packed with features, right? But they come at about like half the price versus like all the other premium wireless audio brands. But they work great. They pair up with Bluetooth. The newest pair has multi-point connectivity, quick charge functionality. And then, of course, you have this handy dandy little carrying case with it as well, with a lengthy battery life that just really, really works. These things are good to go. You pop them into your ear. You got active noise cancellation as well, which is a killer feature to have at this price point. It's really, really useful. We've said it in the past quite a bit. Ralph has mentioned it as well, but like these do make really, really great gifts. And with Father's Day right around the corner, it's a no-brainer. I've talked about this on some of my places, but I did get my dad a pair for Father's Day not too long ago, and he still talks about them. He's like, yeah, these are great. Those things you got me, they're great. I love them. So perfect for your dad if he likes music, podcasts, whatever the heck he listens to. It's a no-brainer.
White noise to block out the sounds of the kids.
Definitely.
Anyway, if you go to buyraycon.com/friends, you get 15% off Raycon's best-selling everyday earbuds. And that's right, they're offering 15% off the earbuds for our lovely users. So that is buyraycon.com/friends, buyraycon.com/friends. Thank you so much to Raycon for supporting the show. Well, we are here at Remedy. We're in Finland, sadly missing a Ralph.
No Ralph, minus Ralph.
He is very sad that he couldn't be here. But
sorry, Ralph.
We played FBC Firebreak this morning.
Yes.
We've got Mike and Anssi joining us to talk about it. Would you guys mind giving a little introduction into how you ended up at Remedy, kind of games you worked on before Firebreak?
Yeah, sure. I can go first. So I worked on a lot of narrative games before here. I'm actually came into Remedy for this game. So unlike Anssi, who will answer in a second, who's been here maybe longer than the bricks. But for me, like I come from a narrative design background with lots of different live games. Oddly, some interactive romantic fiction as well, which definitely shows up in Firebreak quite often. Just kidding. It doesn't.
That's how we met.
I could sense the internet just getting so excited. The prospect of like Dr. Darling romance stuff, and then just no.
Well, when we're ready to do that, they'll know who to call.
Yeah. What about you?
Yeah. So I've been here for 25 years. Joined basically a year before Max Payne. Mm-hmm. I was 19. There was 19 of us.
Wow.
At the company, so it's quite different back then.
Yeah, and I mean,
been through a lot.
Been through a lot. I mean, even like FBC feels like quite a different project for Remedy, especially like kind of the more modern Remedy that we all know and love. I mean, what's the background of the project? What was the inception?
Yeah, great question. So, Remedy, of course, has been able to move into like a multi-project model. Like it used to kind of be, to exaggerate, I guess, like Remedy just disappear and every once in a while emerge with like a really cool, interesting game and then disappear again. Now we've got a lot of different games going. And as part of that, of course, we're known for one type of experience, really story-driven, narratively heavy, single-player, third-person experience. And so now we've just had more opportunity to kind of be creative, to follow our passions a little bit, see what other things that we could do. Firebreak really came from the idea of saying, hey, we've got these really cool worlds. We're used to just kind of controlling how people go through them and experience them. But what if we kind of let go of some of that control? Definitely no pun intended. It's so hard to avoid.
I was about to call you out on it.
Yeah, it's so difficult. But actually just kind of like let go of that control a little bit and let people kind of step into these worlds, not only on their own terms, but also with other people. And Firebreak just kind of spilled out naturally from that.
In terms of it being a multiplayer title, were there games that you guys were playing that you were like, yeah, we should do a multiplayer thing? Like, did the games inspire you guys specifically, or?
Well, I mean, we kind of teased a little bit towards multiplayer before in earlier projects too, but never really went through with it, sadly. I would have wanted to, but it's such a resource hog. And then, of course, if you're doing like linear single player stuff, it's kind of pretty far out from that one. But then, for this one, there's of course, like in more recently, everyone talks about the greatest game in the world, which is Helldivers 2 now in the dev team. So that's been an inspiration for sure lately, and of course, then there's been the Back 4 Blood and Left 4 Dead, obviously, the very older ones, and then Warhammers and stuff like that.
Yeah, we also had some like really interesting inspirations, I'd say, early on that people might not expect quite as much. Like for example, like Power Wash Simulator, oddly. Yeah, which sounds it sounds a little bit weird, but actually one of the first tools we ever worked on was trying to figure out how to create a pressure washer, which we really failed at, by the way. Hence why instead we were like, okay, now just throw a gigantic blob of water at things instead of trying to be so precise. But that really just came from like playing that game and feeling like the zen and being like, oh yes, I'm just getting rid of these pixels. And I remember thinking like, what'd be really funny is if you're just doing this and someone just kind of came up behind you and tried to murder you and you had to turn around and fight them off for a second and then just go right back to this kind of like work. And so oddly, that was like one of the first things. And then Overcooked was another one that we looked at. Although again, maybe hard to draw the connection immediately, but it's this idea of like really chaotic, stressful sort of like co-op play where you kind of hate your friends, but you also really love your friends and need your friends, and you're working toward a goal. And almost no matter what you do, you are working towards some version of success. But if you do better, then the success goes higher. So that's kind of like where we started, believe it or not. And then that was against that palette that Anssi was talking about, like that like session-based co-op shooters, like the Vermintides and Deep Rock Galactic and games like that.
How did you guys find a balance between killing bad guys and like doing work?
Did we find that balance?
Did you?
I don't know. Did we? Maybe we did. we just went the easiest road. It's like 50-50. I don't know.
Yeah, that's good. Good answer.
Yeah, but honestly, like that's been a big thing for us for a while, is trying to find the flow, because when we started, especially, like, it's a very like chaotic experience. It was very easy to like throw a million things at the player, and then like it was very intense and people kind of come out sweating. I feel like you kind of still do that to some degree.
I was sweating.
Yeah.
Completely sweating.
It kept really, we were like doing fine, and then it was like, oh, this is getting away from us. Oh, we're all dead.
Yep.
Well, if you imagine that, and then crank it up even more, because we really struggled a lot early on to try to find the peaks and the valleys. You might argue we're still struggling to find that, or I should say we're still working on trying to figure out it exactly. But like getting that sweet spot of like, okay, everybody chill out. You have a time to kind of like choose what you want to work on. You know, in some downtime, you can refill your ammo, take a shower and heal up, or just kind of make some progress against the objectives. And one of the ways that the game gets more difficult later on is by kind of starting to reduce and pull that downtime away from you, so the decisions that you make during that time become more and more important.
Yeah, and a big element there definitely also being like letting the mishaps happen, a little bit of chaos, sort of like you can see, I guess the Helldivers is a good example of the type of tone that we were kind of going for as well in there. And then of course, because the whole point of this game is that you're no longer like a levitating superhero such as Jesse. You're a normal person, but to get your power, you're using devices that are probably a little bit too powerful for your own good as well. That sort of thing.
Yeah, and I mean, I really enjoyed like the kind of humor, which was very abundant. Like straight away, it's like you getting into a shower, just showering with your friends, and immediately all the jokes that can come out of that. How do you kind of make sure to insert that kind of levity into a game?
Yeah, it's really interesting. So Control was very much kind of like I would say like 80% sort of like exploration, atmosphere, and horror, and then like had this great like 20% absurdity that for me anyway like made me a big fan before I even joined Remedy. And so for this one we wanted to be true to Control and keep that kind of like grounded mix. But we knew that, like, especially like when you just kind of release the players, like you kind of can't enforce that sort of sense of atmosphere and exploration, etc. So we decided to keep those ingredients, but like invert the ratio basically, and try to like lean into some of the stuff that was a little bit more absurd, and then kind of temper it with a like more kind of serious edge. And so the way that we try to do that, like if you remember one of our trailers, they're kind of walking around the corner and somebody shouts like "Sticky Ricky," and it's funny because for us, like, that line really captures it, because it's so inherently stupid. Like, there's a gigantic creature made of sticky notes. That's already stupid. Then we upped it by calling him Sticky Ricky, which is a whole nother level. But then that guy is so scared, like he's going to die. And for him, this isn't funny at all. And so this is how we tried to kind of catch that, is to say these characters are taking it very seriously. Some people deal with fear in different ways. So you get some people being a little funnier and nervous, some people being very confident, some people being scared. And the more that you hear some of the lines of the character speaking, hopefully you'll catch those different kind of flavors of reaction. But ultimately, the world itself is scary and grounded. And the absurdity comes from the fact that us, from the safety of our homes, don't have to be quite as scared running into the giant sticky note guy.
And you guys found a good level of also having kind of like that workplace mundane aspect to it, where like one of the characters I heard like was complaining about not getting overtime or something like that. So I like how you're going for all that. How much, because I know there's not going to be like big cutscenes or anything, but like how are you trying to tell story? Like how much story are you trickling in throughout?
Yeah, so it's a really great question. We're trying very hard to not do any sort of storytelling that gets in the way of your experience, right? Like a big cutscene, for example, would just slow you down. The other thing, of course, is that we want people to be able to play this talking on the mics about totally different topics if they want. Now, if you want to coordinate, pay attention, fantastic. If you want to complain about your day, also fantastic. And so we didn't want to like fight you for that space, because in a sense, the players are the storytellers. That said, there's a lot to be said about this world, about this specific time period inside of the world. So we're looking to maximize the very small real estate that we have. So you saw like some of the lines that you already heard. Those lines, actually, there's a very deep well of those lines, and you should be able to play this for 10 or 20 hours and still be hearing new things from those characters. On top of that, we're adding voice packs as a cosmetic type, and all of those have custom scripts, which means that we're not just saying, oh, cool, it's a different voice. It is a different voice, but those also also carry hundreds of unique lines, like hundreds and hundreds.
So each voice is like almost essentially a character.
Exactly.
Cool.
And we didn't want to go quite too deep so that you felt like, oh my gosh, like if I don't hear everything, I'm not understanding something. But there is actually a lot to unpack there. And then we're trying to do other little things that connect to it, like our loading screens will actually be kind of lore documents. Those will be unique. They'll have interesting information to find and things like this. But it's very kind of like low-key passive things where like if you want to go explore that and screenshot stuff and go into community and try to put it together, awesome. Like we want to provide you all of the fuel to do that. If you're just there to blow off some steam and shoot the hiss, also totally fine. Just go do that.
Yeah, because I mean, the Remedy Connected Universe in general, you have so much to dive into and use. How crucial is that going to be for, like, I guess, what do you call Remedy fans? Like Rem heads? Like, what would you call them?
Oh boy.
Do they have a name?
I don't know.
Cultured good people.
Remos.
Yes, Remos. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm scared to coin something.
Well, because you know people are going to be. I mean, we were playing with Mark Delaney, who works with me at Gamespot, and he was just like, oh, "You guys didn't give me a chance to like read something before." Sorry,
too busy getting murdered.
Yeah,
he's like looking around, like, "Oh wow, I saw they did that."
But I mean, how deep is that well gonna go? And like the things that you couldn't necessarily pull in, like. I'm hoping for a Dr. Darling cameo or something, you know.
Well, I guess to that end, I'll say like, how deep is it going to go? Let's see. but one of the cool things about making a game that is live is if we've also wanted to make sure that we have avenues to continue to build and add. Like, so for example, I mentioned like voice packs and them bringing their own scripts into the game. And there may or may not be some recurring themes or threads that you might see that start to kind of show up over time. And even though we're very much into avoiding the idea of like FOMO, we would never say like, oh, you only saw or heard something if you played in March at midnight or something. Right. It's not really for us. But even if you come in 2 years later, you'd have access to that entire kind of well, and we can add to it over time. And even things like loading screens and these other spaces, like we will continue to kind of build out and inject. And of course, as the RCU develops, we will also exist in parallel and be able to develop alongside of it.
Is it right now a little bit more of a go by feel thing in that aspect, or is there like a big roadmap in front of you?
You mean in terms of some of the story stuff?
Yeah.
I'd say it's kind of both. I definitely, like, it's funny, like, I have, like, a strong, like, narrative and story background, and then immediately am working on the least, like, story forward, I think, in Remedy's history. Yep. But that means that I'm also incredibly motivated and passionate to find overly complicated ways of utilizing the spaces that exist. And honestly, a lot of the depth, like there's no shortage of ideas and passion and interest. It's honestly just like, where do we put it in and how do we do it without pulling precious resources and time away from just producing a fun game. We are a small team. We have limited resources and we're trying so many new things that it's the most important thing in the world that we just get out something to players where they go, oh wow, hey, Remedy can make a fun multiplayer game, and that's our ultimate goal right now.
Because how many people are on the core team?
Do you know, Anssi?
Sorry, how many?
How many people are on the core Firebreak team?
3.
This is getting political. Well, who's core?
Exactly. I don't know. I have no idea.
I think we're right. It's interesting because of course, like as a game goes on, it fluctuates. Like during when we were conceiving the game, it was like a couple of us, and then like at the height of production, I think we maxed out like between 40 and 50, and then we're kind of coming back down a little bit now, and then depending on like our update schedule, everything that'll go up and down. Or of course, when you start adding external development partners and QA testers, all these other things. Of course, like I think our credits will make it look like we had just thousands of people working on this, but really not so many.
I was gonna also ask. I mean, it's kind of like this. It's an unexpected game, I guess, from Remedy when it got announced. What has been like the biggest challenge for the team to kind of like, I mean, you could say everything because it is, game development is a miracle in and of itself. But I mean, what's been the biggest challenge, at least at the beginning? What's the biggest challenge facing you now as we're, gearing up to launch, having people in the studio to play it?
Yeah, I mean, I think throughout this project, it's pretty clear that because there's a culture of like single player sort of very curated experiences, getting out of that mindset into more like systemic game and make your own adventure type type of deal, and actually just trusting that the systemic things will actually yield nice results when most people are really only used to thinking about like how would they craft a nice experience for the player. That has been a massive mind shift. Depends on people. Like of course some people are more aligned already to begin with to thinking along those terms, and some not. I would say that has been the signature kind of difficulty with this one.
Yeah, the scary thing for us, of course, is that like when you're doing that kind of controlled single player experience, like you're really curating it. You're curating it in ways that I think most players probably don't even realize they are being kind of secretly led through what we sometimes call like a golden path, where even like we know what you're seeing the minute you walk through a doorway and cueing sounds and all these other things. And here we're just like throwing you into a pot. And so what we have to do is not really make something that's fun. We have to build a machine that builds something that's fun for us. So we're like inserting a middleman with all these like systems, because that's the idea of like emergent, fun. So it's very scary when you're building the machine, because you're not building the fun yet. You're building the thing that's supposed to make the fun. And if it doesn't do its job, you're in trouble. And it takes a long time for that to come online. So most of this development process has been about trying to build that machine, agree on what that machine is, predict what that machine might crank out. And then there was that magic moment. I think for me, it only happened maybe a couple months ago, where you hear people like scream in the next room and crack up, and you're like, what happened? What happened? Tell me some really random, amazing thing happened. And then they describe it and you're like, aha, like that's fun. And we didn't plan that. We didn't make that. So it's a huge exercise in just faith until that happens. And at a company like Remedy, it's even greater exercise in faith, because it's not something that Remedy has relied on in the past.
Yeah, exactly. You have to have enough of the pieces together before it really starts to work. And you will have a lot of people who don't really quite see it yet for a long time. But then, like you said, a couple of months ago, it like starts to show itself, and then slowly and surely everyone starts to get like, okay, I see.
And I've seen it the whole time.
I was going to say, like working on it.
Obviously you have, yes.
Just kind of going by hope, I guess. How is that as a creative process? Just like, putting all the pieces together and then just hoping it kind of comes together.
Well, I mean, there is certainly a vision, but then there's the struggle of communicating that vision to everyone with like the degree of accuracy that makes sense. And you're never gonna be like completely get there. There's so many like little moving parts and so on, but you focus on the most important things and try to nail those together. And you certainly see when there's like people who have more experience in that kinds of things, they see it much earlier and go like, oh yeah, okay, I see, and start going towards that direction. It really depends on what types of things people have worked on, I guess.
Yeah, and for me, I think like one of the things about being the director on the game has been like my job has been to try to like bring people into that vision and also make them believe in the vision, because it's hard. I mean, it's hard for anybody to see, but especially if you're not even the person who's kind of like generating it, you also have to be convinced that someone else is convinced, and it becomes like a large challenge. But for me, like there's so much of trying to like convince people that the vision can happen and that it's real. You don't even really have time to ask yourself if you believe that at all. And so, for me, I think especially at the beginning, it was always telling people like, no, trust me, this is great. Of course, because it's like, that doesn't sound like Control, that doesn't sound like Remedy, that doesn't sound like what we're doing, and like so much skepticism. And then, you're just permanently like, no, trust me, like believe in the vision, this is going to be great, this is going to be great. And then of course 3 a.m. you wake up in cold sweats, like saying like, oh my god, is this true, what have I done? And like that's years and continues to this day to some degree. But one of the wonderful things for us has been like, as that kind of magic has started to come online for us, and we're still working, obviously it's we'll be working up to and past the release date to try to keep tuning that machine to get it to work. Like watching people even internally at the studio who maybe rightfully so felt some skepticism about like, what are those weirdos doing upstairs, having them come up like almost tickled like, oh my gosh, I like played the other day and like I can't believe it's fun. And I'm like, well, I'm gonna try to not take that as an insult and just take it as it's intended, which is just like joyful surprise and so it's been interesting.
I do want to touch on that. Something we always like to ask is, you kind of mentioned like hearing people playing it and shouting, and is there something throughout this process specifically that's cropped up while people were playing that like completely surprised you guys? And maybe it was something you decided to roll with even further, or?
Absolutely not. Yeah, I'm sure that there was like bunch of things, of course, especially when it goes to details. But I mean, the way that this design has gone, at least for me, since it's such a systemic game, that I'm also out to look for all the opportunities I can get, and I see or opportunities to do fun little things that would work with the whole, and I'm just like taking them immediately. That's kind of been the process here lately.
My favorite, I've mentioned this story before, but my favorite of all the things that we just decided to roll with was actually from you, which was that, when we have that gnome in the trailer.
Oh, I know the gnome.
And it's funny, like if you see like the announced trailer, you'll see the gnome launches and there's the storm, and you may or may not have noticed that it's not doing anything else. It's sitting there because that was the original design, that you launch it and it's this big kind of AoE. But then at some point there was just a random idea, probably your random idea, that the gnome actually is more interesting if he starts kind of following people around,
chasing the naughtiest person around.
Exactly. Yeah,
which might be the player.
Yes,
it might be anyone.
exactly.
Who knows?
And then like then everybody else in the production was like, this is completely out of scope. All the VFX will break, all the audio will break. How are we going to animate this gnome anyway? It doesn't make any sense. And Anssi was like, I don't want to hear any of that. I'm just going to go to my desk and make the worst animation as a non-animator of the gnome just going dook, 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 dook.
Stop
And
motion.
then, and he was like, I'm just going to prove to you guys that it would be fun. And then not only was it fun, but also we were like, literally never fix this. That horrible animation you made in 5 minutes is the best animation in the entire game, with no offense to our amazing lead animator, but I just adore it. And we were like, just keep it and keep it. And
I intended it that way. Stop motions, definitely. Like scary old children sort of like show stop motion.
Yeah.
And it's coming to you and laughing.
And it's so great, these people who put these like, and I say this because I'm not an artist, so I can brag about the other people. Like Remedy just produces some of those beautiful games in the world. And again, I have nothing to do with that, so I feel comfortable saying it. And so like having those people come and be horrified at that and say like, yes, but how will it look up the stairs? I'm like, I don't know, just look at it. Oh, it makes no sense. It just and they're like, oh my gosh, we can't do this. I'm like, absolutely, we could do this, and we're going to do this.
But for this one, actually, I will say that all the animators, when they saw it the first time, their first reaction was, "That's fucking perfect."
Yeah, no, that's very true. Actually, that is true.
That is true for this one. But like describing it, they were like,
yeah, exactly. Until you just see it, and that has been the story of Firebreak a lot. Is like you say these things, you're like, no, Sticky Ricky, it's gonna work. It's gonna work. Even going back to that trailer moment we were talking about earlier, the number of people who came into my office and closed the door and were like, listen, I don't want to be weird, but I saw the script. If somebody yells Sticky, we're going to be like, this is going to be so cringe. It's going to be the laughing stock. Everyone's going to hate this. Because on paper, it was like, oh no, like that's so awful. Like, how do we own that joke and like make that work? And then the minute that we actually have like a professional voice actor, and he's super talented, that guy, like to actually carry it, everyone all of a sudden is like, oh, well, of course. I mean, oh wow, it's brilliant. It's so good. And
it's good all along.
Exactly. and that's always been like Firebreak from day one. Is like everything sounds really bad on paper, and then the minute we can just kind of see it and feel it, people just go, oh, wait a second, yeah, that's stupid, but it's also great.
And I mean, like, to kind of, we're getting into the wrapping up stage, but I mean, it's quite an unusual live service model, because you're not doing like the daily check-ins. You mentioned it earlier, it's like you don't want people to be missing out on things.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about the design principles of, creating a game where you want people to log in, have fun, but you also don't want to make them feel like
a job?
Sure.
Isn't it like just a game for middle-aged dads like we are?
Yeah, like
That's
literally
basically
our middle-aged dads.
That's what it is.
Put it on the box. That's
Basically.
good.
Yeah. But like, first of all, I wish it wasn't unusual, and I say that as like a gamer. I mean, like Anssi jokes, but it's also literally the truth. Like I have like a baby at home, and I also have like a 5-year-old at home. I have a backlog that goes from here into absolute outer space, and the joke is like, it's all good stuff. Like I can't even find time to play good things anymore. It used to be, I remember like trying to find even mediocre things because I was so hungry just for new stuff. And it makes me feel like, ultimately, like maybe I want to play a game like Firebreak, but also like, are we really going to say like, well, Firebreak is the end all be all best game, compete for every single second of your time, and if you don't give it to us, then we're going to punish you. It's just, there's something about it, like even just as a gamer, that feels wrong. And I think one of the amazing things about like Remedy, especially right now that like Remedy's actually self-publishing the game, is that like, and this is no shade on any other publisher or any other way of doing things, but for us, like, we actually have the opportunity to say, what do we think is the most fun for people? Because this isn't what Remedy normally does. And we know that we have a lot to prove. We have like a humble experience, like with a humble team. We're trying to come out and say, look, we believe in this and we do believe in it. But at the end of the day, it's our first time doing something like this. It's a crowded space. There's a million people who have been iterating this type of game for what feels like 10,000 years. So for us, like, we just said, hey, like if we're going to do this, we don't want to pressure people. We just want to put it in many people's hands as possible, make it fun. And if they play it for 5 hours and put it away for 6 months, they should feel like they don't log back in and suddenly see 10,000 different things and everything has changed. And oh my gosh, what did I miss out or whatever? And then say, I'm never touching this again because I don't have time in my 1 hour a day to game to go back and unpack what's not there or to feel like I've missed something. And to me, honestly, that's just how I feel as a gamer. And so we just were like, well, let's just like respond to that for everybody.
Yeah, and like the session lengths are pretty short. That's deliberately just for the same reason that you can kind of jump in, jump out. For me, at least, like 1 hour session lengths are starting to become quite a problem, and probably for a lot of people. So.
Yeah, and if you only have an hour to play, and then you have a game that even takes like, let's say like always 20 minutes or something, you play for 40 minutes, and you're like, well, I don't really have time. Maybe I have to go somewhere, etc. So we also wanted to have options like, yeah, you want to play for 5 minutes? We literally have like a type of game that you can play in 5 minutes, but it's just to like maximize time. Again, this is just super like middle-aged dad energy. Is literally the whole thing.
Exactly.
Hey, I love that. Like, it respects your time as well, because I mean, we're in the same place where it's like not that we're middle-aged dads, but we have just, there's so much out there. There's so much like competing for your attention. You don't want it to feel like a second job. Like, I don't want to feel like, oh, I've got to go back. I've got to do my dailies kind of thing.
Yeah.
So not long until folks get to play it. Can you remind me again of the release date?
Yeah, absolutely. June 17th.
June 17th.
This year, specifically.
2027. No.
Yes. Yeah, for other people, hopefully they're excited by it. For us, we're sweating bullets. But, we'll get there.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for having us here and for chatting to us today.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Really
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Must be nice being in Finland, having a good time without me. So yeah, thanks very much for that.
Mr. Go to Japan forever for like 6 months or whatever.
Listen,
you
we're
just
not
did.
talking about me right now, okay? We're talking about you having fun over there without me, okay? So let's stay focused.
We miss you.
Hello, both of you.
We are genuinely very sad.
I do wish that I was there. The background to this is that Remedy did very generously invite all of us along, but unfortunately I couldn't make it because I could have technically been there, but like going from Japan straight to Finland, that's a lot of time away from home. And I was just like, you know what? I got to pump the brakes a bit. So I passed on the trip, but you guys are there over in Finland. You arrived yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
What's the time difference? How you feeling?
I would not recommend being in London 1 week, Japan the next week, and Finland the week after, because
Sure.
I feel like I can see through time and space, and I'm kind of hitting a little bit of
She's
a wall
like saying
right
it
now.
with her eyes widening
No.
as she's saying it to me.
I fell asleep at 8 p.m. last night. But otherwise, I
Hell
kind of
yeah.
slept through until 7, so I honestly feel pretty okay.
Pretty normal, yeah.
How is it for you? Because, I mean, New York is,
Yeah, I'm all right. It wasn't so bad.
this
good.
guy.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I was
nice.
worried. I was like, oh no, but I'm good.
Yeah.
Just
So
the solution
you
is
guys-
just go to bed.
So we were invited over there to play the game for the first time. I think it's the first time that anyone outside of IGN's played it, because they did like an IGN first with these guys, right? Did they
I
not?
believe
I
so.
kind of remember seeing some coverage from them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is the first time
so-
that, is it just you guys, or are there other media and influencers there as well?
So they're doing a thing where it's like, because it's 3 people in a team, so they're having like 3 people in the morning, 3 people in the afternoon, and so we did actually see Simon Cardy from IGN. We were playing with Mark Delaney from GameSpot today. Saw Danny Pena and Rihanna. But then I guess otherwise, because like the groups aren't really interacting that much. I think we're getting dinner tonight.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure who's actually here. But it's cool.
Okay.
It also, like, in terms of a studio visit, it's been quite nice because it's so small.
Yeah.
And it's just you kind of get a bit more time to just like actually we're doing a studio tour after this, and even the stuff that we've seen today, like one of the meeting room that we're camped out in, not this one, but where all our stuff is, has a sauna in it. It's just the meeting room is called sauna, and it has
Extremely
the big
Finnish.
And
yeah.
the thing is, it has the nice sauna in it.
Yeah, they're like, oh, we have another one downstairs, but this is the good one.
This
I was
is
like,
the good
you got
one.
2?
Wow.
You got
Yeah.
2
Jesus
saunas
Christ.
here? Sauna?
They
But
do
also
it
it's
different
like
over there, huh?
Yeah.
Really? I mean, honestly, so we're here on a Wednesday, which is apparently the day that not that many people come in because they have no meetings on Wednesdays or something.
Yeah.
And it's a surprising number of developers in the studio.
It's a bustling, active game development studio. It's like what you picture one in your head
in the before times.
In the before times, or like the Mythic Quest studio.
Oh God, that
Actually
show.
has people in it.
Yeah,
We'll talk about that show.
nice.
It's finished. It's over. I watched the entire show for some reason.
Oh, I haven't
have
seen it
very
past
strong
season
thoughts
1.
on that show, but I
know.
feel like if we went down that path, it would really sidetrack us, and I think we need to stay focused.
Yes, Firebreak.
So tell me. So I guess for anyone who hasn't been paying attention, what is FBC Firebreak? Like, what's the elevator pitch for it?
The elevator pitch, and it's partially like what I was into, is that it's Remedy self-publishing multiplayer title.
Yep.
A non-story based multiplayer title, kind of set in the world of the Remedy universe, or really Control.
Mm-hmm.
And
It's in the oldest house.
yes,
Yeah.
and essentially it's like a Deep Rock Galactic, Left 4 Dead kind of hybrid thing, where it's like a workplace thing where you are just 3 nameless guys trudging around fixing all the shit that goes wrong in the oldest house. When there's like breakouts with like hiss enemies, and like you're just trying to like deactivate a fan or like repair something and run around, and they're complaining about like not getting overtime and stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
You catch fire quite a lot more than I was anticipating. You get
there is-
radiation poisoning.
So it's very much. It's also and like when we spoke to the 2 gentlemen, a lot of Helldivers inspiration in terms of creating those moments of like zaniness between. Like where you're like, oh, like you're all freaking out or scrambling to do something, or Lucy's on fire, she runs past me to go pick something up, and then she bumps into me, and then I'm on fire, and I'm like, can you fucking like?
Can you not?
And then one person has a like a water-based weapon, so it's like, can you get me wet? Can you get me wet? Like, come on. So it's a lot.
Jake spent an alarming amount of time yelling, "I made them wet! I made them wet!"
So
Nice,
that's the thing,
nice.
right? Combat-wise,
Nice, Jake.
you can utilize all. It's very elemental-based, like because one person has an electricity-focused weapon, which will power up your healing stations and stuff like that. But it also can zap enemies. But they're more susceptible to it if those enemies are soaking wet. So the person with the water gun can wet all the enemies, and then the other person can come in and zap them for massive damage, and stuff like that is satisfying. What is so funny about massive damage? Why did you laugh when I said?
Because you said I thought you were doing a hit the weak point for massive damage joke.
What joke is that? Do I not know that?
The E3 reference. It's like the
Is that-
infamous
why do I
E3
not-
presentation was like the giant enemy crabs hit the weak point for massive
Oh
damage.
my god! Okay,
Wow.
it's been a while. Okay,
Do you even
fake
play
gamer.
video games, Jake?
No, I
Wow.
don't. Sorry.
You're
Yeah,
not
so
even wearing a
it's-
video game themed T-shirt today, so
I
I'm
was
really
gonna
dubious,
say-
to be honest.
I'm keeping it professional today. I had to keep
That's
my Max
nice.
Payne shirts at home.
Walk up to Sam
officially-
like, "Can you sign this? Can you sign
Can you
this,
sign my
please?"
unlicensed Max Payne shirt?
Yeah, that's right.
My bootleg Max Payne
Um,
shirts.
So, okay, cool. So, tell me about the structure of the days. Like, so how much did you actually play today?
So we started playing at 9:30 until about 12, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so a good few hours.
We also got to see like kind of base level stuff, like base level weapons, and then like a little bit of an escalated. Like we got to unlock better stuff a little quicker than the normal cadence would be. So we were able to see, how
what a
generally
tier
it goes.
2 weapon would be like. What there were kind of these augmentations. What were they called? Where you put them on your weapon, and so like that's how I got the gnome.
Oh yeah.
The gnome. And so that the way the pace that we were unlocking stuff was they accelerated it for this demo just so we could see more. But basically we had access to 3 jobs.
Yep.
And so hotfix, ground control, and the paper one.
Yeah.
Paper job. And basically, so the first time you play him, you're in one zone on the map, and you can also adjust the difficulty and from the kind of what's the screen I'm thinking of?
Oh, like the main screen.
Yeah, like the main screen. So you like adjust the difficulty for the whole thing, and then once you clear it, you get to do it on like level 2, which unlocks a different zone, and then you can do it on a different level, which has like an extra zone and maybe
like a boss type thing. Yeah.
And so like
Okay.
like an object of power. So by the time we did one on the 4th
Oh
level.
yeah, and there was an object of power in the environment that made it so there was less gravity.
Yeah,
so,
because
like,
we
would
went in
jump
and I
higher.
was like, wait, did I unlock this? Because I'm like moon jumping
Yeah.
around.
Yeah.
And then at one of the ammo stations, there was a new gun. because there aren't like guns in the environment really. Like you just go in with your loadout. And I found this gun. I was like, hey, what's this? And they were like, oh yeah, there's an object of power. You can use that to destroy it more easily. And then it was just a globe.
It was
and
just
I
a
destroyed
globe
it. And it was like
killed
one of those things where I was like jumping in the air and I just smack down
Yeah.
Right.
to earth. But I think that's like a cool little thing to adjust in each level. Like a little...
Structurally, it's cool. It reminds me of like that, that like Left 4 Dead thing where you play through a couple of sequences.
Yeah.
But it's like you play through a couple sequences and you get out. The other thing that you're doing, there's a little downtime. Enemies are spawning pretty frequently, but there's like a little downtime, especially at the start. So a lot of times it's dark. You're walking around with a flashlight, looking around. But you can also find, like from Control, you can find those safe houses, the massive doors that you open up. And in there, you can find some ammo and stuff like that. But you can also find little collectible like documents, like classified documents that then if you're successful and you win the round, that acts as like a currency for when you're back in the menus and to unlock stuff.
But if you die, you lose it. So you got to go find it again, right?
Yeah.
Got it.
But yeah.
All this sounds pretty cool so far. I mean, like, the oldest house as a setting is sick.
Yeah.
All of that,
Yes.
like, elemental interplay stuff sounds really cool. Like, getting them wet and hosing, the electricity shit.
So you know what worked for me, though? Like, it was, and speaking with
Showering
the guys
with your
after,
friends.
too. Say it again?
Showering with your friends.
Showering with your friends, literally, because the healing station is like a chemical shower, like a workplace shower. So
what kind of
you're
trip
all
is
cramming
this?
in it. So, but like what I like about the game, and it's the same thing with how they're not going for this like 1,000-hour experience with like 800 battle passes, and you have to check in every day. What I like is that like the game itself feels very made without cynicism. Because on the one hand, it's like, oh, Remedy's making a multiplayer game. Here we go, right? Like, if you pay attention to the gaming news, you're like, oh, another one of these. But it just feels so much less made with cynicism because it's just got... It's pretty straightforward. It's pretty simple. It's not super hand-holdy. A lot of it is, like, player experimentation and messing around. So I will say it feels a lot more... it feels a lot more like the early days of Helldivers compared to... whatever live service disaster that comes to mind at that moment,
Yeah.
Well,
I think for me...
Go on, Luce. Go on.
No, I was just going to say in terms of... It was kind of like a real fun goof around time.
Yeah.
Because certainly like the first map when we spawned in, you're doing things like fixing fans or whatever. And I was just like, oh, am I on fire? Oh, I'm on fire. And then there was the point where...
How do I get not on fire?
Yeah, we were inside this giant like turbine fan thing and I'd fixed it and the fan just kept going. And I was like, oh, I'm stuck in here. Oh no, I'm stuck in here. And then like I couldn't get out and then I just ended up dying.
Well, then I walked over and I was like, what do you mean you're stuck? And then the fan pulled me in and then I was stuck. And then Mark was like, wait, let me revive you. And he just wandered over and was like, oh no. And then he got stuck in too.
So if you get downed, you can wait for someone to revive you or you can use like a volunteer to respawn back into the game, but you only have a set number of volunteers per game. So it's like one of those things where it's like, there's only one dude on me. Should I use a respawn or should I just wait for you guys? And then the thing that I also really enjoyed is just how quickly it became very chaotic. You think you have control of the situation and then very quickly you just do not.
Yeah.
It just really gets away from us.
Yeah, the enemies are pretty tough. There's like big chunky heavy guys with grenade launchers. There's like hiss zombies that just run at you. There's like those floating...
And the anomaly, like the big spheres and stuff. The anomalies like pretty much one-shot you.
Yeah. So there's a lot of...
But then there's named enemies.
Yes,
Because
there are.
in Control, when you would be going and it'd be like, hey, you got to take care of this
Nick
guy.
Smith. It's always just like random person like name.
Yeah, and so we were just yelling like, Brittany's coming! It's Brittany!
Yeah.
It's Brittany, bitch!
Nice.
It's something like I feel like I'm not going to play forever. But with how it's implemented, because the other thing like with games like this, especially previewing them, it's hard to find... It's hard to really get a feel for like the progression and like, okay, like what's keeping me motivated? What's keeping me playing? And part of it is going to be like, yeah, being in the oldest house and then playing with friends and goofing. But also once we got better weapons, I noticed I was like, oh, okay, here's where I could want that loot. Because when I got like a stage 2 weapon, it's the same, like I got a submachine gun and then I got the stage 2 submachine gun. And it just helped me mow down the fodder enemies way more easily. And I was like, oh, okay, there's that little feel.
I think the thing for me is when we kind of unlocked the ultimates. I don't know if that's what they are called, but
supers, I think.
Yeah. So for me, I was playing a character with the electric gun, and I would, just kind of zap them all. And the thing that I unlocked was the gnome. So if you see in the trailer, it's like kind of little messed up little gnome, but he basically calls a thunder strike. However, he doesn't really discern between friend and foe. So every time I was unleashing the gnome, I had to say, guys, I gotta unleash the gnome. I got it.
I got a gnome.
I gotta unleash the gnome.
I'm sorry, guys. I got a gnome. Okay, good. That's good. That's what we're wrong with. Okay, you're welcome, Remedy.
The piggy bank. The piggy bank is good. So I had a character that had like a melee weapon they could swing around, and then the super was you were able to bolt a piggy bank onto the melee weapon, and then that gives you one powerful hitch at an enemy, and then the piggy bank opens up and turns into a swirling vortex of like coins and dust and shit.
Cool.
Yeah.
So for like AoE. So, and that's another thing where it's like we're desperate, we're like surrounded, and like in those games when you get surrounded and it just kind of turns into like a mess, like where you're just like, I can't see, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Those moments you're like, all right, I'm gonna unleash the gnome, or I'm gonna piggy bank time, you know. So it's good for that.
And it's funny because it's like
cool.
I mean, the one Mark had was the water cooler. But if he
was nice.
If he smacked it, it would just the water would go everywhere. But the water would heal you, kind of like the shower would is the main healing thing. And so it's kind of one of those things where as you're progressing and you're unlocking these wacky things, you found the fun very quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's also thematically it's very nice because it is set in an office, and what the turret. Like that your character had was basically made from an office chair.
It's like a turret, but it's clearly sitting on like the wheels of an office chair.
Yeah.
And then mechanically too, when you
to-
drop it down, it's like he dumps it out of like, like the cardboard box you get when you get fired or sacked or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like you dump it out of that, and then you have to melee it a couple of times. Like you got to bonk it on the head a couple of times to turn it on. And
I will
like
say
that.
I think that bonking was a little too long.
A little too long. Yeah.
Little too long.
It was good though because it made me like really like, oh, come on, one last hit.
Because I was trying to like hit the hiss who were behind it. I was like, I'll try and make the most out of it. It's like hit everyone as well as bonk the turret.
Yeah.
Right.
It definitely. So I feel like in terms of who it's for, as much as it's not going to have a ton of story stuff where it's like, oh, you have to. There's cutscenes. There's not. It's very simple, but I think it's for people who like Remedy games that also will fuck around in a multiplayer game. And like a more creative multiplayer game, a wackier multiplayer game, like a Helldivers, like an Overcooked or something like that.
Yeah, because when we were talking to them about like, who is this game for? They kind of said, hey, we know that not a lot of people have the time to invest into like these big games. Like we don't want them to feel like they're missing out because they're not doing dailies or whatever. And so like they explicitly said for middle-aged dads.
Yeah.
So,
which is good because I do think like playing it, I was like, I don't know how long this has legs. Like that would probably be my criticism where I'm like, I don't know how long this will keep my interest. But it also doesn't seem like it's like a mistake. Like that's like by mistake. Like it seems like that's kind of the point.
Yeah.
It's kind of an interesting thing where we expect a game like this. Like if you're gonna make this game, you should make it so that it can be played forever, right? Like that's kind of what we instinctively
conventional thinking, yeah.
Conventional thinking in the modern era, right? Whereas before, it's like, well, Left 4 Dead wasn't built for that. You know what I mean? Like it started out as just a game, and then they built more stuff for it and mods and all sort of shit, and it kept going. And I mean, I think of it, even thing like Aliens Fireteam Elite, which a lot of people didn't like it. I actually quite enjoyed it. I didn't think it was incredible. But I liked it, and I had no intention of playing that game forever. I wasn't going to make that my fucking life. But I played through all the content. I played with some friends. I had a good time, and that was it. And and for me, it was worth it. A lot of other people are going to feel differently because they want that kind of game to last forever, or they'd rather spend money on a game that does last forever. And I mean, I get that, to each their own. But the prospect of a very finite co-op shooter made by Remedy is appealing to me. Because if I can play through it and have like, let's say 20 good hours with my friends where we just do all this content and we're done. And I mean, I'm going to guess this is like a $40 product, right? Did they talk about price?
They did not.
No.
I think I read somewhere that it's like a mid-tier price offering.
Yeah.
But it is also Game Pass and PS Plus.
Oh, okay.
So
I mean, yeah, absolutely. Game Pass for sure. Like, fuck yeah, man. Absolutely. Just like download that shit, play with some friends for however many hours until you get bored, and then move on. But it already sounds like it's got some interesting ideas. It sounds like it's got some stuff going on. I don't know.
Also,
I like the sound of it.
It was also just nice to be in those environments again. It's a very different game, very much a little bit more humor focused, but just being in, like, seeing the play, like you start a mission, the bold font shows up. You're in the same areas you remember from Control, and I was like, all right, cool.
Does it have the same destructibility that Control had with everything just flying all over the fucking place?
No, not as
No,
much.
they got to tone that down, I guess. Yeah, it's a lot.
There is an objective focused on destroying sticky notes, like areas, like office areas, just filled with sticky notes, and it was
you got to shoot the sprinklers because you had to get them wet first. I guess.
Yeah, like so I would spray them with water, and then Lucy would zap them to torch essentially a bunch of them at once.
Got it.
And then if the one person is upgraded enough to have the flamethrower super, then they'd be able to do that. But then little environmental creative things like shooting a sprinkler to make them wet, to then zap them. Just like little weird creative stuff. But all while you're doing that, you're also like, oh shit, guys just spawned in right here. We're fucked.
They're boys.
Yeah. That's what we were calling them. Boys are here.
So the boys are here.
So have Remedy completely closed the door on any further support for this game? Or they said definitively like, oh yeah, this is it. It's done. And we're just going to move on to the next thing. Or are they like, well, we're going to put it out and then we'll see how we go.
That seems to be the idea.
Because they were talking about the
Which
voice
one? The
packs
ladder?
and stuff.
Yeah, the latter.
Because they're talking about voice packs. Because like each
when you have your character in the customization screen, like there's cosmetics for helmet, body, gloves, stuff like that. But then also you can choose like, do you want tough guy voice, regular guy voice, girl voice, which I thought nothing of, but
different lines and kind of little. I don't know if you would call it like a story, but different interpretations of events. I guess like different. Hey, just a worker. I just work here, kind of thing. And they're saying that there are hundreds of lines.
Yeah, which I was like, whoa, there it is.
They'll be doing like different voice packs. So part of me really wishes, and I don't know anything, so I would love it if it's like, hey, one of them is Dr. Darling. One of them is Jesse Faden. One of them is Alan Wake, maybe. Like, I mean, maybe not Alan Wake, but
just turning in a shift.
All these things kind of break the canon
Darling,
quite significantly.
Yeah, I was gonna say without breaking the canon too much. I mean, like, I'm really intrigued to see how they tap into the RCU to kind of fill that out, flesh that out a little bit more. But even just because who were Hank and Jerry?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because I think maybe those are two of the voices. Because like we didn't see any kind of intro cutscene. In fact, I don't actually think there is one. It's they're saying it's not going to be like. Yeah, I think you just go straight in. But yeah, they kept referencing like Hank and Jerry, and I want to know more about those boys.
Yeah, I think.
Are there going to be?
I think there's definitely something there.
Is there a cash shop? Is there are there skins or whatever?
Not that we could see.
You use in-game currency for, right?
There's a lot of in-game currency. Yeah.
Okay. So like, ideally no battle pass, no in-game cash shop. You just buy a game, you play it for however many hours, or you just play it on Game Pass, whatever, and you're done.
Yes.
I mean,
and some of the structure stuff we didn't get to see. Like some of the stuff they did say like they're still working out with us.
Yeah.
Like some of the stuff is still a work in progress. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, because I mean we were playing a build that was a month old. Okay. So apparently a lot of stuff, even on the menu stuff, has changed.
Were you playing on
what
PC?
They're working on. Yes.
Yeah. Were you playing using a controller, Lucy?
Yes.
Yes, I was.
Yes.
Oh, also Jake. Unbelievable. Oh, that's right. I forgot that. You were in a separate room where we were at Bungie, so I didn't get to see that. Of course.
Yeah.
I forgot.
But the thing is,
it's like not against players, and it's like, then I don't need it. I don't need to like be sweaty, all right?
But also remember when I popped off that one time in Marathon, so I feel like you guys can't
you
hold
did
it control.
pop off
You can't hold it
that is true. That is true.
I think the one thing that they said they're working on right now, and I think my biggest kind of gripe is that sometimes when it gets too hairy, it is quite difficult to see what's going on.
And you don't really feel like as a player you have enough at your disposal to get out of it other than just, I hope someone else comes and helps me. I'm fucked. Yeah. Like, but it's the nature of that type of game, because even in like Left 4 Dead, after a while when you got like really swarmed, you were just like,
Back 4
guess I'll
Blood,
die.
man.
Yeah.
Back 4 Blood got so stupid so fast. Oh my god.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was, so did you get a sense of like difficulty tuning? Like, because you played those different difficulties, did they feel pretty well tuned? And like, overall, how was that?
To be honest, we wanted to test the difficulties out, but we, and they're going to fine tune some things, but we had a lot of struggle with normal.
Yeah,
Oh,
there were points where
Interesting.
it just gets away from you very quickly.
But that's
there was
without
a lot-
upgrades, right? Like that's when you're coming in pretty fresh and you haven't like
Yeah, so-
upgraded meta progression stuff. Okay.
I think only that last game we played was when we all had
We all had
level
some good
2
shit,
or 3
yeah.
weapons.
And we technically got to the end.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it was also, we were just playing it on normal, but there were the difficulty stuff that apparently they said it can get very, very, very difficult. And that still probably won't be enough for some people on the internet, some mad
Yeah, no, of
lads,
course.
but
No, but definitely in that style, like in the type of game you'd expect, like the way the difficulty jumps and how you select it beforehand and stuff. Like it's just, it's pretty much like what you would expect.
Yeah.
So
Well, I think that sounds sick as hell, to be perfectly honest with you, but I'm very biased because I'm a huge Remedy fan. And all the shit that you described there just sounds like perfect in the sense that, like, as I said, the setting, the physics, the job types, the whatever, like it all just sounds pretty good, man. So, yeah, I mean, am I getting it wrong? Like, are you like, where are you at with this one? Like, are you loving it, or are you like, no, I had a good time? Like, how would you rate that? Like, not out of 10 necessarily, but like, where are you feeling? How are you feeling overall?
you want me to go? I mean, honestly, I had a really fun time with it. I would love to just sit and play and bullshit with like you guys as we play through it, because it is just a very fun time that I did really enjoy. But like I said, I'm still searching for that. What's that multiplayer? What's that like comfort game to come back to? And I think something set within a Remedy universe is something that's maybe more up my street. So I'm intrigued to see like the rest of the other mission types, because we saw 3 of I think 6 on that job board.
I think so, yeah.
I mean, I'm most intrigued as, like a Remedy fan. I'm most intrigued by the voice pack stuff and to see, because
Yeah,
there
and what
will,
little
I mean,
nuggets they trickle in like loading screens and stuff, apparently. Like
even on the loading screens, there were references to Bright Falls and Alan Wake, and that was the stuff that I poured over in Control.
apparently those loading screens are placeholders though.
I feel lied to. No, I'm kidding.
But they said there's still going to be good stuff in the
there'll be
loading
some good
screens.
stuff.
So.
And they were saying that, people will be screenshotting and
Oh,
going,
the environmental stuff. We saw a lot of environmental stuff, like posters.
do as you're told, don't eat mold.
Yep. Yeah. A lot of good stuff.
Yeah. It's just
All right.
good to be back in that world. And as like
Yeah.
a stopgap between Control and Control 2,
Yeah. That's a good way to look at it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even so for me, I'm not like a multiplayer guy, but when one comes at me like this, where it's simple, it's saying all the right things, it's in a universe I like, and it doesn't ask a lot of me, like I think that's a good. And the fact that Remedy's trying to like, do their own thing with it and think a little differently with it, like, all right, cool.
Yeah. That's it. I feel
Is
like
this finally
just
going to be the
listening to
game that we play together?
Yes,
Maybe,
it has to be.
maybe.
I suppose.
But we'll see. We'll see how it
that'll be-
goes, because I mean, it's also their first multiplayer game, and as we've seen, even experts at multiplayer games, when they launch, sometimes there are difficulties. So we have to see how it goes.
For sure. Cool. All right. Well, anything else before we wrap up?
We miss you.
Well, yeah, it's right. You better. I'm over here slaving away in my man cave while you guys are living it up in fucking Finland. Sightseeing tomorrow, no doubt. I don't even know. What is there to see in Finland? What's something cool you can do in Finland tomorrow?
It's a public holiday tomorrow. Apparently, it's going to be really fun, which
Right,
we'll
it's
have
like
no
getting
fun
into the-
without you.
Yeah, of course. You're getting into like the warmer months of Europe, right? This is like, it's going to be nicer.
Yeah.
It's nice. It's like
jealous.
a very like a brisk spring day.
Yeah.
It's been nice.
Beautiful. Well, it was great to see you guys as
Yes.
briefly as we were able to. And I guess now we should go back to the rest of the episode. But there may be a word from our sponsor now. Possibly. We don't know. We haven't thought that far ahead yet. But if there is, here it comes.
What'd you drop?
What was that? It sounded
just the
like Gollum.
Raycons.
It sounded like the Gollum clip. Yeah, that's it. Spot on.
I was worried. Just concerned. Anyway,
That was FBC Firebreak. So no, it was very fun to go out there. What did you even drop, Jacob? So distracted by that.
Oh, I just dropped the sponsor of this episode, Raycon.
Oh, thank you, Raycons. God bless.
Yes. Look at how sturdy that is, and the fact that
Yeah, exactly. It survived.
It survived. Anyway, I got to use a question for us from the email address, contact@friendspersecond.com. This one is from Izzy from Texas. And so Izzy's a little bit of a long question, so I'm just going to ask the beginning bit of it. Hey guys, day one user, first time question asker. Missed out on asking this question on episode 69. Bit of a bummer, but oh well. My question is, what's your favorite game over screen? If you have one, that is, or if there's a notable one. One of my favorites, and one of many people's favorites, I'm sure, are the game over screens for the Batman Arkham series, where the villains mock you as you lay there dying. It's the first one that comes to mind. And so, yeah, Izzy also mentions Prince of Persia, because the prince says, no, that's not the way it happened. Shall I start again?
That was good. I forgot about that.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
And the game over screen for Yoshi's Story.
What was that?
Had a permadeath system, and I remember it deeply upsetting me as a small child whenever I get a game over and see one of my Yoshis be taken away by toads to a creepy castle.
That's messed up. I literally was like, oh, it's probably cute. And it's the opposite. Wow.
It's going to be really messed up. Yeah. I mean, the Batman Arkham ones are...
the Penguin specifically, like Nolan North just doing that Cockney accent. Hey, Bats, you thought we'd get me, eh? You know, it's great.
Wow.
I was taken aback there. It was good.
I mean, mine's a predictable one, but I don't think I'll ever anything.
I know what you're gonna say.
Yeah, you know what I'm gonna say. Nothing's ever gonna stop. People yelling Snake's name as he's dying. You know, that little the reverb that kicks in, how long the scream is. You know, the panic, like, snake. That is just so good, man. Like, honestly, though, like, I honestly believe that's the best. Like, come on now. Is there actually a better one? Is it, you know what I mean?
There's a close one. Yeah. For me, it's a similar thing, because with the Metal Gear 1, too, it's also like almost the jump scare of the but it feels like it's like, okay, it's over. Like, it feels like game over. So the only other one that's similar to that for me is a predictable one. Max Payne 1. Max Payne 1, when you die, it instantly kicks into the slow motion spinning camera of like Max, and the theme kicks in, and it kind of gives you kind of a very feeling of like, okay, I fucked up. This is over. You know, good feeling.
I mean, speaking of Remedy, the Alan Wake 2 ones with the jump scare scream type things.
Pretty good, but when you're playing on hard, it gets old. But I love it. It's like like on the screen. Yeah.
This is
the
probably
Mass
gonna be
Effect 1 had. I always like the Mass Effect 1 ones. Yeah, but it's just like a shepherd ragdoll.
Yeah, that's right. With that music kicking in. Yeah. I agree. This is probably going to be really obnoxious, but I'm going to do it anyway. Okay, Outer Wilds, right?
I knew that was coming.
Yeah. Imagine a game over screen that you can see coming for like 2 minutes before it arrives, right? And it's like it's cued in musically, and then and then the sound ends, and then there's like a moment of quiet, and then there's a flash, and then you might have just a few seconds left to do the thing that you're trying to do. And sometimes that will happen where like you are trying to do something before the loop resets, and you are like trying to escape this game over screen before it gets you, and then it does, and everything fades out. Like that, to me, that's pretty impressive, man. Obviously, it's not a game over screen per se, but it's like pretty close to it. And yeah, man, it's pretty memorable.
I like the way you kind of went into a bit of ASMR.
Did I really? Okay.
Yeah, well, you were like whispering.
And then there's a flash, and then it's gone. It was very like NPR. It was good. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of any other iconic ones. I mean, like Souls, like You Died.
Sure.
Is
Resident Evil.
That's quite exportable.
Really, Resident Evil really had the like Jill would like get her head like cut off, and then she would fall over, and it would pan up from the body, and then it would say in blood like you died.
I mean, actually, Last of Us with that high pitched and then
And
it
the jump
just
scare.
the cut to black and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like super violent and the cut to black and then
I agree.
Yeah,
That's
and
a
they
good
would the
one.
animate like it would like especially the big bloater one. It would pull his
Yeah.
face, and it would be
Ah!
right before you see Joel's face
Yes.
rip. It would
Yeah.
cut to black.
Mhm.
Really genius.
Yeah, they were really good.
Good question. Very good
I was like,
question,
yeah,
actually.
thank you very much,
I
Izzy.
feel like Hotline Miami has a good one too, but I can't remember.
I can't
what it
remember that
actually
having a
is.
game
'Cause
over
you die
screen
a
at
lot.
all. Because you
No,
just
because you die a lot. You die
Exactly.
instantly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm
Yeah.
thinking of like the start screen.
sure.
But-
Yeah.
No, the mission complete screen. No, the mission complete
Oh,
screen
yeah.
hits so hard. Yeah.
It
That's
does.
what it was.
It definitely
Okay.
does.
Oh god, that soundtrack. That's
yeah.
one of my playlists that I listen to quite a lot. Is the Hotline Miami soundtrack.
That's good driving music. It's a vibe.
It's good, just like doing the dishes music.
Did you guys know
I
that
break the dishes.
Did you guys know that Hideo Kojima is coming to Sydney to do a conversation with George Miller on stage?
Are you
Oh,
going?
that's so cool.
I'm
You
going,
have to go.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
I booked 3 tickets for myself, Austin, and Ed. We're all just
me,
going to go together.
Jake, you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
oh, please.
That's right.
Oh, that's so
you guys
cool.
come
That's
and
perfect.
you're fucking welcome. But yeah, I'm excited for that. That'd be fun. I just got an email about that then.
that?
Actually. So yeah,
That's really
no idea what they're going to be talking about. This is going to be vibing out together, really. Just
Mhm.
basically just
riffing.
like this podcast. Just like, what up, man? Hey,
Yeah,
what's up? What are you doing?
You see Better Man? Yeah, dude.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
should
gonna
we-
be like the
should we
Chris
talk
Farley.
about
Like,
video
hey,
games?
remember that time you made that movie? That was awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, before we get into what we have been playing, because it's kind of a lighter week, we could do a couple more user questions. I got a bunch out here.
Let's hit one.
Let's do one.
Oh,
I mean, which one? Let's do samurais. This one?
yeah.
Okay. This is from Samurai. My question for the dogs and Lucy is: if you had to live the rest of your life in any game world as an NPC, what game would you want to live in? I've honestly debated this thought more than someone probably should. And your favorite games are probably the worst ones. Bloodborne, hell no. Skyrim, fuck dragons. Expedition 33, nope, I'm 33. The best
Nice.
ones I could think of would be Cyberpunk 2077
Ooh.
or GTA 5.
I mean, those sound pretty dystopic, to be honest with you.
I
This
wouldn't-
person's like, I'd like to live in the crushing hellscape of the future where there's no hope for anyone. Oh, okay.
No,
all
I
right.
was like, if you want to be an NPC in any game, you have to go Stardew Valley.
Exactly,
You've
like
got to go
Animal Crossing.
Animal Crossing.
Can
The
I
worst
say,
things that happen to you in a given day is that, like, oh, I only caught 2 fish today instead of 3. I guess I better go fishing
Gone.
again. You know, like, that's the life.
Can I say it seems like it would be really cool to be a rich aristocrat in the city of Dunwall,
Yeah. Okay.
except for like getting murdered.
exactly.
Well, except for the
They have cool parties.
the rat
and-
plague.
Yeah, but that's like
But he lives, man, he's from New York. That's normal for him. It's fine. He's like, we're used to that, you know?
They eat pizza here, yeah.
I mean, like there's the rat plague and the outsider, and like
Yeah, but the
Adventure-
parties and they all dress really
assa-
cool.
That mysterious assassin coming to murder everyone. I guess if you're just an NPC and you're not pissing anyone off,
Yeah,
and you get the plague
everything's
eradicated
like there's like
somehow.
all the whale business. What if you're like in the whale business?
that looks like hard work.
Yeah.
Like getting
What if
the
you're just
whale
like the
oil?
oligarch of the whale business, and then you
That's
get to go to a party and wear cool masks and stuff?
Yeah.
Mhm,
See, like
mhm.
and like live in a castle, a manor.
Oh, what if you're one of the witches?
I don't think they have very happy lives, Lucy.
No, brutal
No.
I
lives.
think the entire point of their lives is suffering, really. So
They
I don't
like
know
beat
about
the
that
shit
one.
out of you as a kid or something.
Yeah.
Like,
Wow.
I'll do much
Well,
worse than that.
Yeah. Living at the Hound Pits pub. I don't know.
Mm,
Man, I just want to play Dishonored again. Ah!
I reckon I'd like one of those. What was that superhero game that was that superhero MMO game? What was it called again?
DC Universe Online?
no, oh shit, I played
Oh,
it. Why can't I remember what it's
um,
called?
City of Heroes?
City of
Yeah.
Heroes. Yeah, that'd be all right, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I guess if you're like everyone's a superhero, you get to choose your power and shit. But then again, you're not really an NPC. Then you're a character.
If everyone's
So,
a superhero, no one's
a superhero, Lucy. You're absolutely right about that. So I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, I gotta go with the Stardew Valley and Animal Crossing. If I really have to like actually live in this world, like not just for funsies or whatever, just like this would be so cool. Like actually live in that world, yeah, you want to live there because it's just like chill, right? I guess.
You know what? Like Spyro the Dragon, Gateway to Glimmer, or whatever the hell Americans called it, Ripto's Rage or whatever. Like there are those little levels where you just have the little guys and they're just like,
you're right about
dancing
that.
Around.
Actually,
I'd like to be like one of those little guys, maybe on a beach level or the wizard one.
Yep.
You know,
Isle Delfino, whatever from Mario Sunshine. You could hang
I don't
out
like
there.
those guys though.
Girl?
Do I gotta look like one of those guys? I don't like them. They got those big.
Girl, that's Belle Daphne, isn't it?
That just.
What the fuck, Lucy? Jesus Christ!
I think it's Belle Delphine.
That's right, Belle Delphine. That's it.
Oh man.
Oh God, no. Okay.
Nope. Moving on. Yeah. Oh, I don't know. I think like a Stardew is or a Sims is kind of the boring choice.
A cool sci-fi world. Like if I lived on the Citadel,
Citadel seems pretty nice.
Yeah,
I reckon that would be
until it's
okay.
not.
Without
Yeah,
without
until it
the
blows up.
obviously the Geth invasion.
The Reapers.
The
Reapers.
Reaper invasion.
Yeah.
It would be pretty cool before then, I think.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Just regular trips to the Asari consort. You know what I mean? Just living the dream.
Damn, you got to hook up to get it.
it's tough, man, but you can swing it if you're
Like living on Omega with Arya, Talok, and like becoming a mercenary in one of those gangs. That'd be pretty cool. Oh, except for the plague in the slums of Omega. But we move on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great question. Thank you so much.
Good question. Thank you.
Who was that from? That was from Samurai. Should we go into what we've been playing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you guys played anything?
Well, look, I have actually just been entirely devoted to Clair Obscur because I've actually finished it now. I finished it a little while ago, and because I actually kind of not 100%ed it, but pretty close to 100%ed it, which I again never do with games at all. But it's just kind of like it just sort of grabbed me so much that I just had to keep playing. And I just think I am working on a video. Everyone's like constantly hassling me about this in my comment section, and it's taking a long time because I'm doing some stuff in the background around it. And I'll talk about. I'll just that'll
You
come
heard it
soon.
here first, people.
Mhm.
That'll come soon. No, I actually have told them multiple times, but people don't believe me.
Shit.
So,
Oh.
I want the scoop.
but yeah, I mean, look, I think we've spoken about it now, like every episode for the past 3 episodes or what have you.
Yeah.
But like having played it now, it's like, yeah, man, it's the best game that came out this year. And I would not have, because I think last episode I'm like, it's good, but I think I still prefer Kingdom Come. And now I'm just like, nah. This is the best game that came out this year. This is the best game that's come out for a while. Like
Did you cry?
I didn't cry, but I definitely got emotional at a few
Yeah.
points. Definitely felt some feels. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But
I cried at a moment that wasn't like the end cutscene. It was just like a little thing that happened towards the end. I was like, oh.
Yes.
It has a lot of that sort of stuff. It's
Yeah.
the scale of its achievement is pretty breathtaking. To me personally, it really reminds me so much of Nier Automata because it's just possessed of this like creative creative fury. It's just like there's something about its creativity that's like almost angry is not the right word, but it's like so forceful,
Confident.
No, it's like I feel it's like these people that made this thing, it's almost like this was pent up inside them, and if they finally had the chance to put it out there, it just kind of has that sort of energy of just this, it's like a fire hose of creativity. And I think it is so impactful that as like again playing Nier, it had that feeling of just never really experienced something like this before. There was just so much creativity on the screen at all times, from the music to the characters to the writing to everything. And I think this has that same energy. I really haven't felt quite like that since Nier. And so to make me feel that again is like a pretty big deal, because Nier definitely meant a lot to me personally.
Well said.
Yeah.
So, I think as well what's fascinating about it is because you can complain a lot about like Nier as a video game in terms of its playability. A lot of people, like action combat purists in particular, don't really like it for that reason. They think it's not a strong like spectacle character action fight or whatever. But as a video game, Clair Obscur is just like just as good as it is in terms of its storytelling and its music and whatever else. Like it's such a great combat system. And then getting out into Act 3 and collecting all the Pictos and Luminas and trying to build a broken build was so good because you got to see all parts of the world, fight all the optional bosses, see all the optional side content while also building this ridiculously broken build that lets you just one-shot bosses or whatever, which sounds like it's bad, but it's not actually, because it's like, that's a cool objective that you can set for yourself. You don't have to break the game. You can have a normal build and just, play the game properly. But if you want to, you can break it. And that choice is so fantastic. And
that's that JRPG magic. That's like the thing. That's the appeal.
Absolutely. No other game gives you that. Not no other, but like very few single player games give you that same choice. They're so focused on like locking you down and balancing things. And that's really good, of course, in many ways. But the alternative is also really sick. And I think that I was not expecting to enjoy Act 3 the most. And the reason I enjoyed it the most was because I had a gameplay incentive to create a broken build. And that gameplay incentive set me to all corners of the map to experience all parts of this game. And there were story things hidden away in like the end of optional dungeons that were so important to the overall story, but you could have totally missed them if you weren't trying to chase those gameplay like carrots. And also if you weren't strong enough to be able to do them, because you really do need to like have a pretty fucking strong character or set of characters to beat these endgame bosses. Like you do need to break the game ultimately if you are going to beat some of these bosses. So that kind of like symphony of like gameplay objectives and storytelling and in-game exploration and stuff like that, Act 3 is the least directed, but I think the best act in the entire game, because I think it all really comes together in such surprising, unexpected ways. So yeah, man, just truly in awe of what this game is and what that team achieved.
I thought I finished it.
Yeah.
And I texted Ben Star, and he just went, and then it flashed up like Act 3 or something.
Yeah,
the game loves doing that.
And he was like, "You've got quite a bit to go."
Yes,
I was like,
absolutely.
This is the best feeling, because I was in love with it. I'm awaiting SKA plushes.
Can you imagine how many they're going to sell?
Oh my God. Well, I mean, we were talking about this when you were grabbing food, Ralph, earlier, but like they just said that they are redoing the collector's edition. And Jake and I were talking about the fact that like,
I got an alarm set.
I want to buy it.
It's a Supreme drop. I'm like ready. I'm there day one. I'm lining up.
Yeah.
He's wearing the shirt.
I want the soundtrack on vinyl. I would like die for that. That would be the coolest thing ever.
Do you know what's a bummer though? There's the Spotify soundtrack doesn't have like all the songs. You have to go to YouTube.
But they've put them on YouTube, right?
They do. You have to get them on YouTube instead. And there's like one song which is like the final boss battle song, which is so sick. It's got like this fucking, it's got like this Linkin Park energy going on or whatever.
Yeah, it does. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the version on Spotify is pretty good, but the version on YouTube is fucking awesome. And so every time I want to like listen to that song properly, I've got to go on YouTube and yada yada. So if the composer's listening, can you please upload the remaining songs to the Spotify? We would really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Are they selling the actual soundtrack digitally?
I don't know. Not sure. Don't know.
So then you could do the thing where you buy it and then you upload it as a local file.
Yeah, sure.
It's been nice though to see the game like really take hold. Like, I don't know. I feel like sometimes like when we're in unanimous agreement of some certain games, it's like, like the game that's like the darling of games journalists, but then like nobody else gives a shit.
Dishonored.
It's been really cool to see like this game. Like I've seen like memes and like TikToks and stuff of like
the fan people, cams have been
the fan cams. There's one of like a guy like he's playing and then the Minoko like fight theme song kicks in with the saxophone and he's like, what the fuck? Like it's just it's cool. It's really
cool. One thing I thought was really cool is that people didn't rush to spoil it.
Yeah.
I saw. I mean, I assume some people unfortunately will or have been spoiled, but when it had just come out and, like, I'm obviously not going to say anything, but like certain big story beats were happening, you'd expect to see them plastered all over a thumbnail, or someone would just be not very subtle when mentioning it on a social media post. And it just felt like everyone had signed this covenant to not spoil that game, because I think it just hit people so hard. They wanted everyone to experience it. I thought that was really cool.
I am
is.
dying to talk about the ending stuff. I kind of want to like make a video just doing like a spoiler talk. I think I might, but
you absolutely should.
I've had like moments in real life where I've been able to like talk about spoiler stuff with
Yeah.
people, and it's been so satisfying. So I think I'm going to make a video. But
It's a very, very strong ending that I think they really nail it. They really nail the ending. They nailed that final boss encounter visually, soundtrack wise, and then narratively as well. It's just like that's a fucking 15 out of 10 ending right there. You know what I mean? Like you go your whole life and you don't see endings that good, you know, or like make an ending that good. I mean, as a creative or whatever. But I really feel like it just was at that level of being like, fuck, man, unbelievable.
I was like gaming the other day. I was just like walking. It's really hot here at the moment.
Okay.
Hence why I'm wearing like shorts. Actually, Jake, I'm wearing the shorts you got me at Gamescom. For Gamescom.
I love that. Those shorts are getting a lot of play.
I love those shorts. And so I was just like kind of like moping around my apartment. And I was like, I could be playing Expedition 33 right now. Why am I not playing Expedition 33?
You should be moping around your apartment going, dim, dim, da, da, da.
That just seriously gets stuck in your head so much. I actually saw a tweet like that the other day, just being like, you know that tweet that's like your brain is like, hey, are you about to go to sleep?
Yeah.
And then your brain's like, yeah. And then it's like, dim, dim. Absolutely.
What a game.
So yeah, anyway, that's all I've been playing because I really just did everything that I could do in that game. And now I'm just working really hard on that video, to be honest with you. Like my full focus. And
I'm excited to see it. Jake, what about you?
I've been replaying Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, the original.
I was going to say, so we talked about this again briefly before we started recording. Have you watched the opening thing of Delta?
Yeah, so they put out
they
like remade it. They remade the intro for Metal Gear Solid 3 Delta, and they like put it out there. It's like the CGI cinematic intro. It's essentially like the Bond style intro. And it's weird. So it's Cynthia Harrell again, who still sings incredibly. Like it could have been her singing it yesterday. Perfect. But it's just a new version of a song, so it's produced and it sounds a little different. The instruments sound ever so slightly different, so like it freaks me out. I'm like, it's different. I listen to this song every day. But it's just cool that they got Cynthia Harrell back. I love to see that. And replaying it, it's actually, so this is crazy. For most people, Metal Gear Solid 3 is like the one, but it's actually the one I've replayed the least. So I'm in an interesting spot. I haven't replayed this one in a while, and man, you stare at Eva's boobs a lot, like a lot. And I'm really curious to see if they're gonna commit to leaving that in the game.
Sure.
But it's interesting. It's really good. I still love it. It's probably, it feels like one of the more front-loaded Metal Gears in terms of story and conversation and lengthy codec conversations, where after it gets through all that, and like after you get through like the betrayal, and then you go back out on the new mission, and then when you're finally there, the game kind of lets you go along for a while, and then you stumble into the Ocelot fight, and then the bee guy, I forget, the pain, and as that goes, that whole sequence, there's not a lot of like long drawn out cutscenes, and I just like it because it makes it feel like a journey. You feel like you're really going across this, like Russian jungle. It's been good so far replaying it. It also still holds up quite a bit. I think there's a couple little fiddly things here and there, and the treating your illnesses, I think, has never been that good of a system, because it's just highlight on a menu and click on something. But yeah, moment to moment, just like running, gunning, stealthing. I love it.
What are you playing it on?
Right now I'm playing the Master Collection version on PlayStation 5.
Okay.
And it's technically the Blue Point HD remasters.
I see. Okay. Sure.
And it's decent. It's decent. Cool. It looks pretty good. And I love it. I love it very much. I think David Hayter in this one in particular does a really good job literally sounding just like Snake, but actually playing a different character. You gotta like really look for it. Like you gotta like, but like it's there. And so far so good. I'm like about halfway through. I've just been kind of like picking away at it here and there in between other stuff. Like I was like replaying Expedition 33 and stuff like that, and playing a little Tony Hawk 4 on an emulator just to like kind of get a feel for
Just to
that.
feel
But
something.
yeah, just to feel something. Yeah, because that's
Wait,
the
did
other
we-
thing I did play.
I was gonna say, did we talk about this?
Actually,
one?
we haven't
didn't.
talked about your impressions because you went to the
Yeah.
trip. Yeah, that's a good point. For sure.
Yeah, so briefly, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4, I got to get like hands-on with a work in progress version of the game. I got to spend quite a bit of time with it, and it is pretty much exactly what you'd expect. If you Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2, if you played that, it feels like that, which I think is good. I think Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2, that gameplay was so perfect. The perfect distillation of that gameplay at its best, with all of the best elements throughout the series. This time around, though, with 3 and 4, it's a different studio. It's Iron Galaxy. And they're really, the visuals are actually like way more impressive than I thought. The levels are really, really detailed, crazy lighting. Like now, like the college level from Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4, the college campus, like now there's like parade graffiti everywhere and flags everywhere. So like it just feels so much more lively. The Foundry from Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3, now there's like really good flame effects and
I saw
spark
that.
and fog that
Looks
it's just like,
super
holy
good.
shit.
Yeah.
It's like you don't need it. I don't need it, but seeing it, it's like, wow, this is cool. The one interesting takeaway is that they are trying their hand at new levels. They're doing a couple new levels, and I got to play one, the water park level that was shown in the marketing and stuff like that, and it's really good. I think it's great. Like I was like, holy shit, like they got the sauce here. They're doing something with new levels, because I was very much like, okay, let's see, new levels, good luck. But it's fun to play, and it also just feels exactly like a level that would be in the game. And I think if you just put it in the game and somebody picked up the game and didn't have history with the old ones, they would have just thought this was a natural level from the old ones, which is really cool. I still, the only thing, and like if you pay attention to the community or anything, the fact that career mode, traditional Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4 career mode, is not in the game is still a bit of a sticking point with me. The career mode wasn't perfect back in the day. It was kind of a stepping stone to Thug when it became more story based. The objectives had more legs to them, but I don't know. I still feel like I get why so essentially what they did is they took the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4 career mode and distilled it down to the 2-minute mode that people are used to kind of make it a cohesive package where 1 and 2 is 2-minute modes, 3 is 2-minute mode, and now 3 and 4 together is 2-minute modes. But I think because this is like a remaster, they call it a remaster, remake, whatever, of those original games, I still feel like I would have preferred it to be there, warts and all, because there are some really good goals in there. You know, for every couple of boring goals in that career mode, there's some that are really good and really memorable, and some of those kind of show up in the 2-minute mode. But just for the sake of kind of like preservation or representation of the original game, I really kind of wish it was there. It's not a complete turnoff for me. I've talked to a lot of people that are like, there's no career mode, I'm not buying it. But for me, it doesn't completely break it. But yeah, it's something. It's probably the only sticking point with this whole thing. Otherwise, it's all sunshine and rainbows. I think it's shaping up to be pretty good. Bam Margera's in it. Really, really cool. They're once again just doing the good thing they did with 1 and 2, where it kind of like keeps up with the culture, where they're adding new skateboarders, younger skateboarders. They're adding new music tracks, but music tracks that are like thoughtfully chosen, that fit and mesh well with the old ones. And it seems like they're once again making the right choices with that. And it's really cool now for a Tony Hawk game to go to the character roster, and it looks like a fighting game character roster screen. There's so many skaters because they have all these new skaters, the old skaters. It's just cool to see.
Yeah.
So, you know, the career mode thing, I'm going to be like, and hawing about that for a while. But otherwise, I have had fun playing it. And I got to play with Stu.
I was going to
Stu,
say
who
you
edits
and
the
Stu
podcast,
were
the
there.
man.
Yeah. Stu, who's
that was
editor
great.
of this podcast, and also, you know, many other things on the Skill Up channel.
Yeah.
He went in my stead and he crushed it. He did a fantastic little preview for the game that went into the news show for us. And yeah, he had a great time playing it. Looking at that gameplay, like the Foundry level looks so good, and then the water park level I thought looked fantastic. I was like, wow, I want to play that level. Like it looks really great. And he said that it's, it plays as good as it looks. So
absolutely, it's kind of like if people are fans of the Alcatraz level from Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4, that had a lot of verticality to it, but also a lot of little hidden doors that you could drive in or skate into, and then it would warp you up to higher levels.
Yeah,
the water park level is just like that on steroids, which is cool.
Yeah.
Good stuff all around.
Yeah,
it's nice that they're like respecting it in this way. Like it seems very thoughtful, because my understanding is that some of the new music they've chosen is from artists who are kind of inspired by the old generation of
cool.
Yes,
Tony Hawk music. And some of them say that like the reason they started as musicians is because of Tony Hawk. You know what I mean? And that's like a really cool thing to tie that all together in that way.
It's a really nice full circle.
Yeah.
Also different songs, like I think it was like a licensing thing, like, but like I don't remember what artist exactly, but a song from an artist that wasn't the original game, but now it's their other song. Like it's same artist, different song. Kind of cool, kind of interesting.
Yeah, no, that's nice. So yeah, it is good, because it's so easy just to like, well, not easy, that's not fair, but like we see a lot of remasters, and it's kind of like, cool, here's some 4K graphics and some controller updates that please pay us money. Whereas this one, like huge amounts of effort have gone into this clearly. Seems like a really cool package, and I've got to respect Activision for like, for committing to it.
Yeah, and it's all about the gameplay for me. Like it's very much like when, like a fighting game remaster, like, like Capcom and how like they had fucked up some things, but like then when they're good, it's really good, because it takes a lot of work to get the frames down, the collision down, like the timing down. So like the fact that these games play like they do, to me just makes me really, really happy.
Yeah.
So, that's what I got this week.
Cool.
I got a bunch.
Yeah, tell us, Luce. You've been playing.
I've been #gaming for my sins. No, so I want to give a shout out to 2 games that I just picked up yesterday and I haven't really put too much time into, but digging them both for different reasons. One is Proverbs, and I think it was Xavier Nelson Jr. who recommended this one.
Hell yeah.
It is a giant picture, but it's broken down into lots of little Minesweeper boards that are different shapes. So it's not, just like squares or whatever. And so it's kind of this Picross Minesweeper mix. And then when you complete an area, it changes color, and you are gradually just restoring color to a giant painting. It's great. It's lovely. I'm just playing a big game.
It's not new, right? It's kind of like a little older.
Came out like December, I think. Yeah, I think you told me about it at GDC. At least I believe it was him who mentioned it.
It's got art. It's got the type of art I like. Cool.
Yeah, it's got art.
Mm-hmm.
It's got art.
It's got art. But it's just like a nice thing that I've kind of been in between doing other things. I'll just kind of put it on and do a little section, and then kind of bounce out. And it always tells you like what percentage you have done of each section, and then the percentage you've completed of the overall picture. And then it's just a really nice little game called. So that one's Proverbs. The other one I started playing yesterday, very, very briefly, was Dead as Disco. So I'd seen this one actually on TikTok, which is weird because my TikTok algorithm gives me basically no gaming.
One broke through.
It gives me a lot of memes.
It's like British Bake Off memes, isn't it?
It is a lot of Alison Hammond interview moments.
My phone, sorry.
Yeah,
your phone.
I'm still rocking my Balatro theme. Balatro, as I'm told. We need to pronounce it.
Yeah, Ben, that's what Ben told me as well. He's like, Balatro. But also the fact that you have your phone on loud, I just can't live that life.
That's how I do it, man.
I know.
Kick it old school.
Usually we mute it when we make content, but
I've just done that then. So yes, thank you very much. Yep. Well
so it's a game, and I talked to the devs actually briefly yesterday because they were kind of breaking it down for me, and they're doing a playtest this weekend, and so more people are going to be playing it. It was really interesting because it's like they're kind of inspired by the Arkham combat, like the rhythmic combat, and then what they've done is they've put like funky songs to it. So when I watched the trailer, it wasn't the Carpenter Brute version of Maniac, but it was very similar, and it was like this kind of heavier, more electronic version of Maniac. And then it's, you're tapping away your combos. It is like Y to counter and whatever. And it kind of like does it to the beat. I'm not far enough in yet. I only played it for like 20 minutes or something while I was in the middle of doing something. But it was like a cool thing. And they've got a lot of plans for it, and they're building it to be sort of creator first. So streamer friendly music and like, it's, I don't know, looks nice. And like when you are, I guess if you're clipping it out for TikTok, it does look very satisfying. My big thing though is that like if you are aping Arkham's combat, those punches have to feel heavier. That's my one thing. It was like I'm like tapping away, and the guy's beating him up to what's his name? Charlie Disco. I did like that.
That's the character's name. That's so cool.
And it was like, beating someone up to the beat, and it was like you do get into that flow state and stuff. But I was like, I need to be feeling this. Like I need some kind of feedback visually, or like a vibration or something to make it hit harder for me, because then to get more into that rhythm, into that flow. But overall, like
it looks
cool
good. The animations like are really, really doing it for me.
Yeah.
Are you
Very
completely
stylish.
grounded, or can you like jump up and like do gadget shit, like, or is it just punching and parrying?
I believe it says punching and parrying. I did have like a glow stick that I was beating a guy up with.
Oh, that's cool. Okay.
And then there were some enemies that kind of shoot at you. There's the like your classic shield enemies. So no, I want to play more of it. Like I said, just very quick impressions on what I did play. Finished in one sitting, Duck Detective 2.
Nice.
Nice.
The
It's a short
duck
one,
in-
isn't it? It's like, what, 2 or 3 hours?
Less than.
Wow.
I did it in 90, but that
Okay.
could be because I'm a pro gamer.
You're a puzzle
Absolutely.
genius.
We saw it
Detective,
firsthand with the
mystery
marathon build.
genius.
How is it?
It's great. If you enjoyed the first one, it is a detective game where you play as a duck. It's a very cyclical explanation of what that game is. But it's very funny. It kind of has this like noir backdrop, but you're a duck who's addicted to bread and your ex-wife doesn't talk to you. so
Addicted to
great.
bread. It's such an awesome setup for a duck game. Oh my god! Like you can imagine him just like having the shakes at 4 p.m. or whatever, and he's like a thought bubble appears in his head. You just see like a bread loaf, like a loaf of bread there.
He takes some bread out of his trench coat.
Well,
like-
no, his roommate comes in and he finds crumbs under the pillow.
Yeah, I was gonna say that would be so funny.
Good.
Have you been baking again?
No,
You said you wouldn't do that
quit.
anymore.
But it's fun of little cute. It's fun of full of very good puns. You do deductions. You quack the case.
Oh, deduction.
There's a button.
You quack
There's
the case is
you crack
very
the
good.
case.
I wonder if that was the starting line for this whole thing. They're like,
I
wouldn't it
hope
be
so.
funny? And they're like, this is it. We need to make this game because of that line. It's just too good.
I hope so. There is a button just to quack, by the way. But yeah, it's just
Okay.
a detective
That's
game. You go to a glamping campsite, and there's a ghost who's like who's causing some trouble. And you just talk to the people. You saw it, like it's pretty simple. It didn't give me any real head scratching moments, but it's just one of those very comfortable games, like that I want one of these every year. And the last one did come out a year ago, so maybe they're on this good cadence where they could do that.
Thinking,
Wow.
I thought that the first one came out really recently when I saw it in the release schedule. I'm like, wait a second, is this like an update or something? It's like, no, it's a sequel. Yeah.
Sequel. And so it's really good. I really enjoyed it. It's a very fun game, very lighthearted.
Yeah.
Did it in one sitting. Good stuff.
Yeah.
And
That's cool.
I'm playing Liza P
Very nice.
because I
Yeah.
played some of the DLC.
Can you talk
last
about
week.
that? There's like a gun blade in the game. What the hell? Nobody
What?
told me about that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Now you have like a gun sword, and then like a secondary ability is to like fire.
Yeah,
it.
right. Okay.
So
Sweet.
when I was doing the preview session for the DLC, I did use that gun a lot. I mean, so
Okay.
that's the thing. It's like I didn't finish Liza P the first time. There was something about it that just kind of didn't connect with me. And I think I might have said this last time, but I started playing it again, to, get the feel for it before DLC. Like the worst thing in the world is like you do not want to embarrass yourself in front of the people who make the game.
Sure.
Which, didn't want to.
Tell them to not make a hard game. Then tell them to relax.
But that's the thing.
Enough.
I was emboldened by Expedition 33.
The flame of ambition.
No, by Expedition 33. And I'm also at the stage now where I'm like, ooh, what if I replayed Sekiro? Anyway, and so I'm going through and playing the whole game. I've greatly surpassed the place that I played up to the first time. And you know what? It's bloody good. I'm really enjoying Lies of P. I'm going to make this comparison. It's not as good as Expedition 33, but please understand where I'm coming from, is that Expedition 33 is made from a team of people who fundamentally know what makes a good JRPG, right?
Yes.
And they kind of distilled that into what they created.
Yes.
Lies of P, I think that team fundamentally understands what makes Bloodborne specifically so great.
Yes.
And has channeled that into a game that is like slipping into a comfortable pair of sweatpants, because you know what they feel like, you know it.
It is down to feel. Yeah.
It is down to
little
feel.
things. Yeah.
I mean, the one thing I would say it's more forgiving than Bloodborne. Obviously there's guarding in it, and so you're able to it's kind of borrows a little bit more from Souls in that regard, where it's like you can actually guard, and yes, it takes some health away, but you can do the health regen. I just think it's just a cool use of a license, because you're like, oh shit, that's Geppetto, but then I don't know anything about Geppetto other than the fact that he made a boy. You know, I even had a moment when I was like, oh, when the nose thing happens on the painting, because they don't even play into the Pinocchio of it all that much.
Yeah, it's restrained.
And I guess because I was lying, because I was trying to be nice to people and make them feel good about themselves, the painting of the boy then developed a little Pinocchio nose, and I literally walked into Geppetto's office and I was like, oh, I did that. Anyway, I am finding it much easier than Souls games. I think throwables are just completely OP, and so if I'm ever struggling on anything, I'm just like, well, gonna go buy my thermites and my shot puts.
Yeah,
but it's great. Music is wonderful, and the DLC, I think it is genuinely, not to wade into difficulty discourse at all, but the fact that they are adding difficulty levels to the base game and they want more people to get in, I think that's really cool. You can still play it on the regular difficulty if you want to, but if you want something that's going to be a little less challenging, you can. There's a boss selection mode now. It's not really a boss rush, but you can play those. You can pick bosses from base game and DLC, and you can play them on either super easy difficulty or you can play them really, really hard. So for all of those sickos out there,
that's cool. Why don't more Souls-like games have that as an option? Because some of those games, their bread and butter is the bosses. You'd want to revisit it as much as you can.
I guess Sekiro had a boss rush mode that they added.
Oh, I didn't
but
know
other than, I think they did. There was something to do with the DLC with Sekiro, I think. But honestly, I'm also at the stage. Oh, Bingo Brawlers is back. Shout out to Bingo Brawlers. They came back last weekend. I need to catch up on that. But the fact that the first thing I was doing, I was playing it. I'm 16 hours in. I was like, oh shit, what did Lil Aggie do? What was his run? Park and Harbor, who I met. They were both at the event, and I was like, hi, I really like you guys' streams.
These are the guys who do crazy. They do crazy speedrun type stuff, right?
Park and Harbor beat Lies of P on a dance mat.
Insane.
That's absolutely crazy.
But also, if you like people's work, I always like to tell them that. But no, and so I immediately went to see the runs that they'd been doing. Lil Aggie did one where he didn't have any weapon at all, and he just did it all with the Legion arm and throwables.
Jesus,
it's cool. So it's they even understand that part of the Souls game sickos, right? Is the fact that people want to take that challenge and
make it harder,
make it even harder. So that's cool.
Speaking of difficult, did you guys hear that they hotfixed Doom Dark Ages to make it harder?
People saying it was too easy.
Oh yeah, so everyone was saying it was too easy. It was because it was basically, and so it's
pretty breezy.
Yeah, so they've just applied a hotfix, and it was confirmed by the developers as well that they just made it harder. I think enemies at least hit harder. Not sure what other changes they might have made. This is just obviously you can still tune the difficulties however you like, but like their base difficulties, they've kind of tweaked them, and so ultra violence is harder now. So interesting. Never seen that before, where a developer is just
harder.
like, "Hey, we're just going to make it harder all of a sudden because you guys were all saying it was too easy, so here you go." You know,
screw you.
Yeah, it was. It's interesting looking back on Doom now. I wonder if you guys like, because obviously, did you play it? Luce, I can't remember.
Not yet.
No, okay, you're right. Okay, cool.
I went really into Liza P.
Yeah,
but also like it makes me really sick. So
of course. Yeah, sure.
Figure that one out.
Did you, Jake? You've been like watching all the discourse and all this stuff. Has it unfolded how you expected? The way people are talking about it and the reception to it.
For the most part, yeah, definitely. I see a lot of like just like the debate.
Yeah,
and then like a lot of people still also now reevaluating Doom Eternal again.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
I
it's
definitely
another one
for sure. I mean, a lot of that discourse I found really interesting because there's a lot of people like this rules, this sucks, which I knew would happen, but then when you actually see the points they're making, there was a really interesting video on Second Wind's channel about like the designers kind of think you're dumb because there's too many easy solutions in the game.
Yeah,
in terms of puzzles and in terms of secrets being hidden, in terms of the parry mechanic, and it's like, again, didn't agree with everything that was said in that video, but it was really kind of like it really lays out a thesis for like, if you don't like this game, this is probably going to be why, you know?
Yeah.
But I definitely, and all of that really forced me to reflect on like, what do I really think of Doom? And I'm like, well, no, I actually really had a great time with it, despite all of those issues that I agree with on the face, you know, like, yeah, sure. The secrets are too easy to find and the parry mechanics are a bit sort of repetitive and one dimensional, but it is actually incredibly just cathartic to just be the Doomslayer and run around and hit shit. And I don't know. I felt, because sometimes you hear discourse after you do a review and you're like, was I wrong about that, or was I missing an angle?
Yeah.
And
yeah, definitely.
But then seeing all this discourse, I was like, no, I think, I agree with a lot of what people are saying, but I also feel very confident in what I felt about it. And what I felt was that like, it's fun despite those things, you know? And I really did have a good time playing it, a great time playing it, in fact.
Yeah.
And I'm just glad that we got
good
a
old-fashioned video game.
Yeah, we got a single-player shooter in 2025. You know what I mean? Like that's a bit of a rarity. We get a few of them in the AA and indie space, but like none of them in the AAA space. So I'm glad that we got one. You know, that's cool.
Each of the modern Doom games is like a power fantasy.
Yeah.
And I think each one decides to empower you in very different ways.
Yes.
And I just happen, like taste-wise, to really like the power fantasy that the Dark Ages specifically gives.
For sure. I get you. Yep.
Did you see? Oh, I want to make sure I get the YouTube channel right. So a lot of the things that I'm enjoying watching right now is like a bunch of people who are like makers, like Nerdforge.
Makers? Like, what do you mean?
As in like
it means something
like
very
artists,
specific in the world of Doom.
Artists, you know. Okay, Doom, the Dark Ages.
Do you mean like people who sell their shit on Etsy?
Yeah, well,
Okay, right.
artists. I would say artists, like creators, artists. What is this, guys?
What is it? One of the guys who like made a real shield with spinny saw blades on it or something?
No, it was even cooler.
How?
Cooler
Impossible.
than that? How?
How do I find my YouTube history?
Oh boy, it's a.
I never want to go look at that. That's bad.
It's all Andrew Tate videos.
I was watching this morning someone pretending to be an NPC in Elden Ring. Oh, here we go. North of the Border. Okay. He is a guy who basically is like artist, like he builds models and stuff. He built a fucking incredible one. It was a sponsored video for Doom the Dark Ages, but it was the dragon breathing down the demon's throat, and he made a miniature figure of it, and it was incredible.
Right.
That's really cool. It's like what is Doom guy doing while riding on the dragon? He's like, get him. Like what is he like? Yeah, fuck him up. Like what is he doing?
Well, that's the thing, because like he did that one. Nerdforge recently did one I talked to you guys about, where she made something from Split Fiction and then delivered it to the devs. And I just think it's a really cool way that, like, I don't know, like artists are doing stuff that ties into video games. That it's not just like, you know, someone playing the game or whatever. It's someone being like, look at this tangible thing that I made
very
that
nice.
Took hundreds of hours.
I'm looking at it now, actually. It is incredibly sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love those
imagine
types of crossovers. Like,
being able to create
it's cool to
something
see
like
those creators get paid, and then it's really cool to see them like make something nuts.
His fucked up one is the I made a realistic Pac-Man, which is upsetting.
Yeah, that would be upsetting actually.
It is. Have a
Yeah,
look.
yeah.
It's pretty messed up. But anyway, yeah, I mean, yeah,
I made a realistic Minecraft Steve is also very bad. Very, very unsettling. Oh my god. Yeah. Yeah.
like very talented is what
Of
we
course,
mean, but like in
bad-
terms of
bad in the
bad as in
sense
like
that it's like-
unsettling.
It'll stay in your dreams kind of bad.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, the Pac-Man one. Ouch. Oh, wow. That
Yes.
is, it looks like a fucking anglerfish. It's awful.
There's a
Oh my
reaction.
It looks
God.
like an anglerfish if it was a testicle.
Oh yes, absolutely. Yep. The vein. Oh god. Yeah. Okay. Let's
Yeah.
move on. Yep.
Let's move on. Anyway, anyone been playing any other games?
That's all I got. That's all I got.
Nope. That's
All
it.
right. Well, what have you been doing that's not been a game?
I did watch cinema. I
You
watched
Imbibed
movies.
cinema.
recently. I watched
Okay.
Mission Impossible 2. Okay.
Oh, yeah, baby.
And it is so good. It is unbelievably good. It is
It's
like
so cool.
it is so cool. It's like a quintessential action movie. Do you know what I mean? Like it's so fantastic. And I haven't actually watched any of the other old, newer. I've only seen Mission Impossible 1 and 2. I've not seen anything after that. Right. So I'm about to begin
no
my
way.
mission. I know, right?
Oh,
I'm
are you doing a watch of the whole thing?
Yeah, well, over time I will do it. Like this is because now my friend and I that I watch shitty movies with, we've watched all the shitty superhero movies. Okay, we're done with them. There's no more to watch. And so now we're like, okay, what else can we watch? So Mission Impossible is on the list. We watched 1 a little while ago. And we're like, damn, that holds up. Fantastic film.
It does,
Watch 2.
yeah.
It's a completely different film. The character of Ethan Hunt is a completely different character.
It's gonna happen again.
Yeah.
Yep. And it is such a great movie, though. The action is absolutely S tier. It is so, like, yeah, as I said, it feels more like an 80s. It's like an 80s Hollywood movie that they made in the 2000s. And it's all set in Australia as well, which is a nice little touch.
That's right.
Australia mentioned.
Great
Australia
motorcycle
mentioned.
chase.
Fantastic. The motorcycle. Oh my God.
Oh,
Yes. The whole,
unbelievable.
just so many aspects of it. I also watched Gladiator 2. Incredibly. Now, I never do this. I never, ever do this because I'm like, no, we've started a movie. We're going to fucking sit through this movie no matter what. But I legitimately turned it off halfway through because it's unwatchable.
That bad?
It is unwatchable in terms of the performances. It's unwatchable in terms of the visuals.
Wow.
It's unwatchable
Wow.
in terms of the very premise of it. It's like, it's offensive and sad to sit there and watch it. I mean, I think anyone that's watched it will know what I'm talking about. And I don't give a fuck about spoilers, by the way, because I only watched half of this movie, so I don't really care. I guess if you're like, you care about spoilers in Gladiator 2, then I guess turn off for the next little bit. But like, the premise is that like the new Gladiator is actually Maximus's son.
No. Wait,
Yes.
Paul
But not-
Mescal?
Yes, is actually
But
Russell Crowe's
another
son.
Like
And-
another son that he fathered or something, right?
Exactly right. And it's like, that's actually when I turned off the movie. When they revealed that, I'm like, nope, that's it. I'm done. I'm
Enough.
out of here. Because, you know, the whole driving motivation of the first film was like, you know, Maximus loves his wife and his kids and they were killed and he's like on this revenge quest and whatever else. And they made no mention, I don't believe, of him having a relationship to Lucilla or whatever. And then they just kind of like dropped this in. But even before then, there was like a scene where it's also just kind of beat for beat the same movie as 1. Okay.
Is there
the
a
same,
hand going through the
Basically,
grass?
yes.
Oh.
Basically, yes. And there's literally a moment, and this is, oh God, I've grown so much. There's a moment when like he's having his first gladiator fight in the Colosseum when he kind of like kneels down, puts his sword in the
Correct.
sand, kneels down and picks up the
Picks up the
dirt
sand.
and then like rubs it in his hand. And I'm like, what are we doing here right now? Is this for real? But before then, actually, you know how like the first scene with Russell Crowe in like the original was like him fighting in some dirty little arena against other gladiators and shit. And, you know, he like, it's a cool scene and he wins and it's a whatever. In the first gladiator combat scene that they have in this movie, they're fighting these CG zombie baboons.
Oh, good.
Like, you think I'm joking? You think I'm joking, by the way. You think I'm exaggerating, okay?
And
But
everybody
I'm-
watched this and they were like, yeah, that was pretty good.
I honestly couldn't believe my eyes when I was watching this. They are straight up CG zombie baboon things. They're not real animals, or if they are, I've never seen them before. And they're the most obvious CG things ever. And, you know, he wins the fight because one of the baboons grabbed him and then he like bit the baboon on the arm, like, "Arr!" And then the baboon like let go. And that was basically the end of the fight. You know what I mean? Like it's unbelievable how bad this film is. It is.
Wow.
And then Denzel is just Denzel, and he's basically the same guy as the other slave, like the Gladiator Master in the first movie. I forget that actor's name, but like he died in the making of that movie, and they had like a CG thing at the end. He was a fantastic actor, crushed that role. Denzel's doing a good job here too, don't get me wrong, but it's just like the same character, really. It's the most needless, most cynical film I've seen in a long time. It feels so... Oh, I had to turn it off because of just how it made me feel. I was like,
did Ridley Scott make it?
Yes, he did. Yeah, he did.
Man.
It was obviously for a pay, and that movie made like $400 million, by the way. So it like made money.
Yeah.
But it was so atrocious. I really
could
cannot.
have had the Nick Cave version.
Thank you for like.
Is that the one where he comes back as a zombie or whatever, and like has to? Is that one?
The Nick Cave one, isn't it? He fights through like various global wars.
That's right.
And stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Through time.
Yep. I'd watch that. Why not?
Yeah, I actually would watch that too, and I guarantee
Look at
that
what they took from us.
That would be a better setup than what this film is. So
it's not often that I go like, no, I don't need that. And like that's with this movie. Like when it was announced and it came out, and I saw the trailer, and I was like, no, I'm good.
Pedro
I'm good with it. Like I'm good with
right?
what I have, you know?
Yeah, Pedro Pascal sucks in it as well.
Oh, no.
Yeah, like because he's just like no one has any real idea what they're doing in this movie, and he's the perfect example of that. He plays like this conflicted general, like, but he's just got no presence on the screen because he's clearly like the character isn't a real character. He hasn't been directed well. It's just a terrible. It's just nothing's going on there. And what's Paul Mescal or whatever? Like he's fine, but again, he's just I don't know, man. It's just. Again, I actually, because as you know, I like watching bad movies because it's just fun to sit there and be like, that's so stupid. This one though, I went in with this intention of doing that, being like, we're gonna make fun of this movie. This is gonna be like a hate watch. Let's go. But it ended up being just a sad watch, and so that's why we turned it off. You know, terrible. Anyway, that's what I did.
Well, I watched a great movie.
Go on.
I finally watched Better Man, the Robbie Williams.
Yes.
Oh my
Monkey
God.
movie.
As the only English person in a room of Americans when we watched it, it was unbelievable because I remember so much of it happening. Like I remember him saying, I'm rich beyond my wildest dreams. Like I remember the quotes. I remember the big beats. I remember like just being there. It was so funny seeing, like I had to explain who All Saints were.
Oh my God.
And like Nicole Appleton. And then
do you know who All Saints are, by the way, Jake?
I saw the movie, so like I have like the rough idea. Like
sure. So like again, big band in the UK and
Australia.
And Australia.
I had no idea of any of this.
When the Gallaghers walked in, did you?
That's the only time I was like, I know these guys.
Yeah, that's always is. But like the fact that he was on Parkinson, which is like a TV show that we used to have, an interview show with Michael Parkinson. I just think overall though, it is a spectacularly well-made film. You don't even notice that he's a monkey.
No, not at all. It goes away.
That's one of the times when CG monkeys on screen actually make sense as opposed to Gladiator.
Together strong. Yeah.
Strong. But no, it was just very emotional. I forgot just how many bangers he has. And I've been actually listening to a lot of Robbie Williams ever since.
He does have a lot of bangers. He does. He really does.
I mean...
You guys in the States missed out, to be honest. You guys really did.
Didn't even know who he was.
Yeah.
Insane. Yeah. It was a good like advertisement for him. Like he was involved in the movie. And afterwards I was like, this guy's fucking awesome. And I looked him up. And it's cool.
Very funny.
I can't believe Americans never really saw like the Rock DJ like video music clip.
Because
that was. Have you even seen it to this day? Did they show it in the movie?
Yeah.
No,
okay, cool.
they
don't.
That dance number is in a different place.
Okay. Yeah. Oh man.
I think my one big takeaway, because we talked about it obviously last time because Jake watched it. My biggest takeaway is that like he does not shy away from talking about how much of a dickhead he was. Because that's the thing. Like at the time, he was on a bunch of drugs. He had a problem with alcohol.
Yeah.
He was not kind to his partner, to his family, to even to his bandmates. He was very arrogant, and the movie does not shy away from that at all. And I think that is obviously very commendable. Like, he's not afraid to,
for sure,
point that light on himself, which kind of makes me like him even more.
Yeah, that's it. That's growth.
That is what we call growth. That's me. Jake?
I just to keep it short, I also I rewatched Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning, the one right before the newest one coming out, because I watched them a lot. I like these movies a lot, but that one I saw in theaters and then never really revisited. I wasn't crazy about it.
I did not enjoy it.
After a second watch, I liked it a lot more. It's got a surprising amount of like weird throwbacks to the first movie and like the paranoia and tension of the first movie, which I found really interesting. But that's also just kind of like a weird one. I think it peaked with Fallout, but I'm just excited to see the last one.
So the other thing
I watched. No, not yet. I'm seeing it tomorrow. I'm very excited.
I was going to say, it only just came out today, didn't it?
It only just came out today. The press and like the tale for it was so long.
Did you see that bullshit with, is it Ballerina, the John Wick thing?
No.
It went viral today because it was like...
she's in Fortnite or something. They put her in like Warzone. You can play as Ana de Armas in Warzone.
In Warzone, yeah.
Insane.
Oh my God.
But no, they had a thing where it was like they had a screening and it was like you can... enthusiastic responses are fine for social, but if you have any other kind of review, you have to wait like a week.
Yeah, you got to refuse that. That's crazy.
Bro, that is wild. It's where like, man, I wonder when we start getting embargo letters like that in our box for our line of work.
Yeah, people say that like with us and like people in our line of work, it's like, oh, it's like access journalism. You just want to say nice things to be in the movie. People don't realize how crazy it is in the movie world.
Yeah,
with some critics, it's
social reactions, like
social reactions they call them. Yeah, because I go to the premiere screenings as well, and I don't do movie reviews. So I don't care, but I see that on the screen. They're like, social reactions are fine. That is obviously code for if you've got something nice to say on your social feed, go for it. But if you've got something critical, then shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? So we do have publishers, generally speaking. Most publishers respect the review process here. Like, in this industry, it's a pretty tight process compared to what you get elsewhere.
The only other thing I watched, speaking of critical evaluations, you ever like have 3 beers with a friend and then come home and watch like dumb shit on Netflix? That's what I did.
Yeah, that's every Friday for me.
I watched there's a Netflix documentary on the Liver King. Remember this guy?
Oh,
of
that
course,
guy.
yeah, sure, absolutely.
So he's got a Netflix documentary to rehab his image, and it's just like pro Liver King propaganda. And for some reason I watched the whole goddamn thing and I hated it. I don't know why I did that.
How long was it?
It was like an hour and a half, hour 45, and
Okay.
it was just like about him. And you watch it and you still don't even get the sense that he's a real person.
Right.
Would not recommend. I don't know why I did that. Don't do that.
That's great. I love it.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Well,
That's
I guess
it.
I'll see you boys in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Next episode.
Next episode is going to be later than usual, FYI, because we will be recording it on the Monday. So usually we record and then it goes up on a weekend, but we're not recording 2 weeks from now because we'll be at Summer Games on the Saturday and the Sunday. On the Monday afternoon, we'll record. Then it needs to be edited by Stu. It'd probably go up like midweek around looking at my calendar now. You can expect next episode to be around about the 11th of June. In that ballpark.
We should post this somewhere as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just so you know. And we're going to be, as I said, in person at Summer Games after going hands-on with a whole bunch of stuff, all the announcements, all the things that happen there. It's always an exciting time. So yeah, very keen for that episode. Should be fun.
Yeah.
Would either of you guys like to eat In-N-Out Burger with me?
Yeah.
I always try and get some In-N-Out when I'm in LA, but there's none in like downtown LA. You got to go out.
Isn't.
You got to drive it, and I mean, yeah,
I
absolutely.
enjoyed it. I've been there a couple of times recently, and I haven't gotten it, so I'm like ready. I'm fiending for a burger.
I'm down.
I take it for granted because we have it.
Yeah,
of course.
Must be nice.
We just have to eat somewhere that's not the same restaurant that we go to every single time.
Every single time.
Yeah.
If there were other nice restaurants in that area, we would go there. But
Ralph is frozen for me, so it looks like he's just really concerned.
Hello. Oh, it's okay. My internet's gone down.
Oh no.
Well, Ralph died. Ralph has been dropped from the call. Apparently, he just lost his internet, but that's perfect timing to wrap this up, I guess, right?
Yeah. Well, we will be back again in a couple weeks. Thank you so much for watching, listening, and if you ever drop us a review on your podcast platform of choice, we do appreciate it. It makes us feel all warm and fuzzy inside. But
shout out to Spotify. The comments are so nice there.
The comments on Spotify are so nice.
Also, they're just insightful as well.
And also on iTunes and YouTube comments too. They're always very nice. And we appreciate that, even though we're
Feedback
very awkward about taking feedback. We can't take compliments.
But feedback is good.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Feedback is nice. So thank you again. We'll be back in a couple weeks. Jake?
That's it. Tie your shoes and go to bed.